And hello, welcome to a live stream. What up, guys? So tonight, I mean, this is the first time I've live streamed on YouTube in like a few months. So we're gonna have some fun tonight. We're gonna kick it off with a Dungeon Master Q&A session. You ask the questions, I provide the answers, right? And then at some point, either the questions are gonna piddle out, or I'm gonna get bored or something, but we're planning on moving into a adventure creation live stream as well. So questions first, and then we're gonna move into creating an adventure together. So over on my Twitch channel, we began a adventure together, and we're gonna just continue that same adventure. It features Kuatoa, however you pronounce that. So there we go. That's what we're doing tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So the rules of the stream are, like, if you have a question, then type in. I mean, it's right there. Like, if you read that text right there, it tells you like what you need to do. Hashtag capital all questions, like question in all caps. And the reason here is so that, like, I can see your question, my mods can see your question. They have like a spreadsheet going on where they're gonna like copy paste your questions and stuff. So there we go. That is the plan for tonight. So let's get this rocking and rolling. Yeah, throw some questions down there, guys. Let's do this. Let's rock. Let's roll. All right, we got a bunch of folks in here. This guy, 85, welcome to your first live stream with me, man. Strife A, yes, do not anger dragon turtles around here. Ethan, what up? Jackson Silverstein. I'm just gonna read off people's names until I see some questions. How's that? Remember, mods, to somehow, like, once we start to get tons of these questions, prioritize them or highlight them or something in the spreadsheet so I know which ones. Subcycle's in, Josh. Wait, that's not Josh. Subcycle's Dave. Dave, what up, dude? How you doing? Thank you for joining us. Philip Ketchup's here. What up, Philip Ketchup? How you doing, buddy? Do you come to my Twitch streams as well? I can't remember if you're over on Twitch as well when we stream. I remember your name though. I'll never forget that. All right, cool. Seth the Shallow? What up, dude? Sith Lord Bishop, Saint Pepsi. Oh, we got some questions rolling in. Awesome. I read, so Magin Anti-Panda. For some reason, when I saw your name, I thought it was Panda Pajamas or something. I just saw Panda Pajamas. Don't ask me why. We should probably get on to some questions, shall we? Yeah, preface your question with question blah, blah, blah. All right, let's check this stuff out. Who thinks that rogues are OP? Rogues are awesome. Paladins are OP. Paladins suck. All paladins should die. There we go, I'm on the record. I have a paladin sorcerer in one of my groups. Holy crap. And he has a cloak of displacement. Double holy crap. And he has shield. Like, how many holy craps do I need? Let's see, Sith Lord Bishop says, how long do all your outfits take to put on? So, not too bad. It's not too bad. Most of the outfits just require me to, like, put a cloak on, and then I use, like, a taekwondo belt to, like, cinch it together. That's really all it takes. The wizard has a hat, and then I have to get out his pipe and his wand and stuff. It's not that bad. The barbarian is the one that takes a little bit longer, because I have to... For my barbarian, Cody, what up, dude? Thank you for the $5. Appreciate that, buddy. Yeah, dude, see, here's the thing, Cody. I'm sorry, I got distracted by money. I'm gonna get to your question, Sith Lord, but Cody threw me money, so I'm gonna like talk to him. He's my bud anyway. We know each other. I want to play Commander with you guys. The problem is I'm so stinking busy. It's really hard to like make that work. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and painting minis would be fun. Totally. All right, so Lord Bishop, the barbarian. So the barbarian, I have to paint. I paint my hand, right, and then I face palm like that. You know, get it nice and squashed in, and then I take it off, and then I'm looking in the mirror, and I got to paint in the outline. You know what I'm saying? Because the face palm just kind of gives you an outline. It's not perfect. That takes the longest. So the barbarian is the most effort. The other ones aren't that bad at all. What takes the most time, honestly, when I'm filming those skits is moving my camera equipment and my lighting around the room. The setup time is crazy. Like when I do my talking head parts, that's easy. I just one setup and I film a bunch of videos. But for the skits, I have to move crap around that table. You know what I'm saying? So that takes a lot more time. All right, let's do some more questions. Oh, I have a cat cam too. Who's on the cat cam? I don't know. You know what? Let's just check out the cat cam real quick. You can kind of see a cat. Oh, there's a cat. That's Squirty Pie. This is a perfect time to go to the cat cam. Squirty Pie is showing you one of her favorite pastimes, ladies and gentlemen. Check that out. That is inappropriate. All right, we'll have to take that off. All right, we'll get that off. Inappropriate for YouTube. I have another cat that's like rubbing against me and rolling around. All right. You know what? I don't know if all the folks. So the folks who have been in my Twitch streams know that the cat cam is a staple of my Twitch streams. Y'all folks on YouTube, I don't think I've ever had the cat cam active on YouTube, so that might be a new experience for you. I think I was on to another question. Sweet, let's do that. Saint Pepsi question: how do saving throws and other charisma and things like that? Plus, how do you do a damage step? What? I don't know what your question is, man. I will answer this question. How do you make a saving throw? You roll a d20 and you add your relevant saving throw modifier to it. That's my best stab at that question, man. Sorry. Feel free to post a follow-up that clarifies. So this is CJ Folk says, how can I get players to gravitate towards the plot? You have to entice them. I mean, you got to put hooks in there. Okay, so like if you have a situation, right? That you plan out a situation. Let's just do some tropes here. There's a dungeon. Okay, there's an evil bad guy in there. He's kidnapped the princess. Okay, that's the plot. That's the situation that you would like your players to approach and do. Well, you have to entice them. You have to put some hooks in there. They have to have a motivation, a reason to go do it. Sometimes it's just wealth, treasure. Somebody will offer them, go save the princess. We'll give you a bunch of money. She'll marry one of you. I don't know. Maybe you look at their backstories and you see what might motivate them, especially if you have a player who's really big into backstories and what motivates me and really role-playing that stuff, then you might look at some of those things to try to like get them to engage with that situation that you have, right? And you're setting up situations. You're not setting up a story or a plot necessarily. It's a situation, and you want to entice your players to want to go there and do that thing. You know, that's the trick to that, I think. All right, let's see. Me broke script somehow. That's not a question, Tashio. That doesn't help me, man. Okay, Panda Pajamas. How would you deal with the DM's girlfriend if the DM is a good friend? There's a lot of implications in that question, Panda Pajamas. Like, I feel like you need to clarify. What exactly is the problem with the GM's girlfriend? I mean, I can imagine lots of scenarios here going through my mind what that problem could be, but I feel like you need to clarify. Question, how are your vibes? How are my vibes? I don't know, Michael. I don't know. They're good? They're good right now. What do I think of the newest Paladin UA Oath of Heroism? Haven't read it. I am notoriously horrible at keeping up to speed on latest developments in the Dungeons and Dragons world. I'm just bad at it. Like sometimes I will find out about a book that came out, like a Wizards of the Coast book, after the fact, because my buddy John at work will be like, "Hey Luke, I got this new book called Acquisitions Incorporated. You might like it. It's really cool." And then I look at it and he talks to me about it, and I'm like, "Oh, that sounds awesome." And then I go out and buy it, but it came out like 2 months prior to our conversation, so I'm really bad at keeping up on that stuff. Yeah, so I have no idea about that oath. How do you deal with DM burnout? Oh man, I mean, you can take a break, right? You can take a small break or something, but the issue with a break is sometimes you take a break and you're like, yeah, I like this, and then you're like, I don't think I want to go back. So that might not solve your problem. What I do when I am starting to get stressed out about all of the games that I have to run, I think I'm running 4 games now, and I'm a player in a couple or something, I don't know. And I do all this YouTube video stuff, right? When I get stressed out about like running the games, what really helps me is to just focus on the part of the game that I really enjoy, that I have fun doing, you know? So like for me, a lot of times that is creating the adventure that my players are going to go on. And so I try to fixate and focus on that and spend time doing that, you know, do parts and focus on parts that you enjoy, you know, because a lot of times I'll be like, for instance, this Sunday I have a Sword Coast Guard group with Lord Paxton and all that plot line that you may have heard of in my videos, and I can think of it as just a task, a chore that has to be done, and I'm like, oh man, I got to do that. But once I start prepping for it and I get my mind kind of in the game and I get into it and then I start to fiddle with the bits that I find interesting, then I start to feel more motivated and animated about it, you know what I mean, and more like I want to do it. So I don't know if that's a good answer, but that's what my moderator's just going highlight crazy over here. Tashio, what are you doing, man? There's an error. There's a function split parameter error in your spreadsheet, man. That's what it says. All right, more. Holy crap. There's a lot of questions. How am I going to answer all these questions? So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions coming in. It's gonna get. I'm gonna answer as many as I can, but it's probably gonna get to the point where, like, people who throw money at me through super chats get priority. I'm just saying that. I can be bought, I suppose, but I will do my best to answer all the questions. I have a 8-player group. I am running a module. The module is for 4 to 5 players. Most encounters I just double. But what should I do for boss encounters? Yeah, you got to beef those bad boys up. Let me show you something, buddy. This is a useful tool, I think, for anybody. I love this tool. This is the tool that I use for calculating encounters. It is. I'm just trying to get to the page. It's free. It's available online. It's an online tool. There are some people who are like, "Oh, calculating encounters is so difficult." Well, that's because you're trying to do math with your calculator. Let me see. Is this right? This is the right one. All right. So check this out. This calculator right here, and I will drop a link to it in the chat for y'all to be able to see that stuff. This right here, you just plug in. So you got four characters. Let's say they're level 5. All right. And then let's pretend like we have 3 monsters. We're going to use challenge rating today. You have 3 monsters at CR3. Well, that's a hard encounter. Okay, hard encounter, great. So what I basically would do is, like, for a boss or something, or even for an encounter from the module you really want to make sure it's challenging or something, you can plug in the numbers based on 4 characters and then plug in the numbers for the encounter that's in the book. And then what you can do is say, well, I don't have 4 characters, I have 8 characters. So let me calculate this for 8 characters. Punch in the number there, calculate it, and now it became easy. So now what I can do is I can just start increasing this. Oh, now it's a medium. It's still a medium. Let's make it 6. Oh, now it became hard. What if I do 7? Well, now it's deadly. All right, let's go back to 6. There we go. Now it's hard. And so in seconds, I have adjusted an encounter for the module according to a group that is twice as big. Now, this doesn't always work quite as simply because once you start getting big, large numbers of mobs, action economy will start to throw your encounter calculations off a little bit. So keep that in mind, but that is a very simple thing you could do. Now, for a boss, you could just punch your boss in, and then if the boss is supposed to be hard, you can start giving him minions. Minions, if your boss doesn't have minions, it needs minions. So just throw some minions at him. If your boss is a CR10, let's say, find a CR2 creature, call him a minion. He is identical to stats in the book, only he has 1 hit point. So 1 hit, he goes down. And have your boss have like 3 or 4 minions or something. That is going to shift action economy back to the boss's side, and it's going to there's going to be at least 1 or 2 rounds that your players are worrying about those minions. And that's going to split their attention away from that boss, and that boss is going to get to do things. Obviously, consider things like legendary actions and legendary resistances. Actually, you know what? It's funny. I actually have 2 videos on my channel. It's a part 1 and a part 2 of how to make like an awesome boss fight or something like that. The title is something along those lines. I did it a few months ago. You could just watch those videos too. Lots of ideas in there how to beef up your boss. So I'll refer to you that as well. All right, let's get back to, let's go to the next one. I gotta slow down too. I'm gonna like wear myself out. I'm talking too fast. I gotta like calm down here. I feel like I have a huge influx of questions, so I have to like talk really fast to get through them. Okay, so Sith Lord Bishop says, question, how are you going to answer all these questions? I'm probably not. We're probably not going to get through all the questions. That's the truth of the matter. But I'll do my best. Legend Network says, since you run multiple campaigns at once, what is your advice for running multiple games? I've been thinking of doing it so that I can run more. I mean, multiple campaigns is the same thing as running multiple games, right? I think that's what we're talking about here. So what I do, what allows, so I don't know. I'll tell you what helps me to run multiple campaigns. First of all, I pick a cadence that I can live with. Okay, so let's just pretend like you're gonna run 4 campaigns. Okay, you can't run 4 games a week, more than likely. That's not gonna work. Okay, let's pretend that you decide that, you know what, I am capable of running a game one time a week, once a week. And if you want to run 4 different games and you're capable of doing it once a week, then you're probably looking at a monthly schedule for each one. But that's a pretty infrequent amount. So what you might do is you might pick 2 of those games that are like your focuses, right? Your foci. And you say, I'm going to run it every other week, okay? And then the other 2 games, we're going to run once a month or something like that. And then you can have 2 games that are more frequent. Those are your hardcore games with your like really committed players. And the other 2 might be your casual games that you just get together every so often. So first you got to pick a cadence that works for you. If you overcommit and have way too much work to do, you're going to feel run down, overburdened, and you're going to the quality of your games is going to suffer as well. So pick a cadence you can live with. I just said sex. The next thing you need to do is you need to organize. You got to get organized, right? Unionize, right? No, you don't need to unionize. That's not going to help you. But you need to organize. Like I use OneNote to organize everything. So I'm gonna give you a little peek at my OneNote document that I have and how I organize stuff. My players should not look at this part of the video. Spoilers for my players. I'm gonna go to my desktop here for you. Duma Blackheart, thank you for that super chat. I will get to you in a moment, sir. Thank you, sir. Throwing money at me. So this is my OneNote document, and basically this is where I keep all of my Dungeon Master notes, and it syncs to my iPad, which goes to all of my games. And so I have everything at my fingertips at all times. Basically what I got going on here, I have an Ancient Dragon campaign. Okay, this is the campaign for my patrons over on Patreon. I have a tier over there where they pay me a lot of money to play D&D with me. And so these are notes for that game. This is my Dragon Heist game, which I actually recently had to stop running this game because I had too much going on. These are the notes for my Sword Coast Guard campaign. And I have a Wonder Panda campaign that I run at work. I have a Youngling campaign that I run with some teenagers. And then this is an older campaign. And then I have notes about the game setting. Like everything happens in Forgotten Realms, so I have notes here about it. This is for the Wood of Sharp Teeth. Wood of Sharp Teeth is another locale, so I have notes about it there. Okay, so I have tons of information here, and I'm gonna poke at the dragon. I'm gonna poke at the Manus Invictus campaign, and I have different tabs that tracks different things that are going on in the game. Just tons of information that I can take along with me that's always there. And so it's organization. Like my memory sucks. I can't remember jack diddly squat. And so this saves me so much. I have a lot more built out in my Sword Coast Guard campaign right here. I have a bunch of stuff built out right here, but I am not gonna go through that. I'm afraid one of my players is gonna be like, ha 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 ha. Actually, I suspect most of my Sword Coast Guard players would not want to see it because they would feel it's a spoiler or something, and that would ruin the game experience for them. But some of them might be tempted, so we just won't go there. Anyway, that's my OneNote. So if you're running multiple campaigns, find a way to get organized. That's my other suggestion. And don't do more than you can, dude, because if you get burnt out and you feel like it's a chore and a job, then you're not going to like it. Okay, going back to, so I got a couple super chats. I'm going to get to these questions. Thank you, Tara Naven. Thank you for the $10. I'll get to you in just a moment. So Duma Blackheart said, how would you judge this? A player is playing a druid monk, so turns into a bear and wants to use Flurry of Blows. Flurry of Blows? All right, they got a new character option there. All right, so he's going to use Flurry of Blows. Oh, because he's a bear. I gotcha. How much damage? 1d4 monk or 1d8 claw? That is interesting. We could look it up in the book, you know. I would probably say that I might, you know what? I don't know. So here's how I would handle something like this. If this came up in the game, I would make a quick decision like right now and say this is what I would rule now. And then I would take it offline when I had chance to like read more and figure out what my final ruling would be. Off the top of my head, my intermediate resolution would probably be you choose. Player, if you as a bear would like to use Flurry of Blows, then you may do so. You get an extra attack or something with it, and you use 1d4 damage. However, if you would like to benefit from the increase of damage of the bear, then you don't get all of the extra attacks of your monk abilities. You could just get that extra damage with your 1 or 2 swipes or whatever. So I might rule something like that for the time being, and then when I have a chance to, like, I don't want to actually look through the books right now, because that would take us a few moments. But once I actually get a chance to, like, read through things and think it through, I would give my final determination. So that is probably how I would do that. Honestly, though, like, questions like this, if it's a gray area and I'm not the book isn't clear on it, then usually what I do is I think in terms of game balance, okay? Is a monk in bear form, is a druid monk in bear form, being able to use Flurry of Blows, does that unbalance that character class? And not only does it unbalance that class, but I compare it to other classes that I know about. For instance, I'll compare it to the paladin's damage output, or a fighter using a crossbow with feats and stuff. And I'll say, you know what? Well, this fighter over here can deal tons of... The rogue has sneak attack. Does a monk in bear form using Flurry of Blows really upset the game balance? And if ultimately my analysis is no, it doesn't actually upset the game balance at all, I'll let the player do it. If it's a gray area, then and it doesn't upset all that stuff, then yeah, sure, do it. Why not? So that is probably the biggest thing that would influence my judgment call on that question. So I hope that helps you. I hope that was worth $5. $4.99. It's like, I'm not giving you $5. I'll give you $4.99. Thanks, buddy. I do appreciate it. All right, let's get to Terranaven. Yes, I know, Cody. Flurry of Blows. Philip Ketchup. I'll talk about the Fishy Business. Ketchup, no problem. In a second. So Terranaven says, my players are really strong, and I can double the deadly encounter threshold before they start to struggle. How do I challenge them without just throwing Tarrasques at them 5 times a day? Yeah, totally. Got you, dude. So this happened to me as well in my Manus Invictus group, especially when they got into when they were about level 15 and beyond. The challenge rating system is garbage. Like, just horrible, which is probably why very few modules go past 10 or 12. I think they probably realize that this is just garbage. So players get super, super strong at later levels for sure, even if they have very few magic items. The character classes in 5th edition by themselves are very powerful, especially if you allow feats and stuff. And if you do 4d4 drop or lowest and you have really high stats, then... So basically, I would create encounters that were a lot more difficult for them. And so I would routinely double or triple the deadly encounter threshold. I would just build them to be that way, and then it would challenge them. But I would also do things, you have to make sure too that you're using the adventuring day mechanics. You have to make sure that they, in a day, there is a series of encounters that is going to slowly tax them and wear them down so that they have to manage their resources. That is a key part of the game assumptions. That's why it's in the Dungeon Master Guide. And if you're not doing that, and if it's just one encounter and then a long rest, one encounter and then a long rest, then you're absolutely going to have massive problems with challenging your players because they're going to blow their wad immediately upon encountering something because they know that there's one encounter per day. And so they're going to blow their wad, they're going to demolish everything, and then they're going to get to rest. And so implement the encounters per day mechanic, adventuring day mechanic. Definitely got to implement that. And you just got to beef things up. You just got to assume that's what I did. Once you know what your players can handle, then you assume that this is what they can handle, and you build everything according to that. That's the only solution. There's no mathematical answer to it. It's just gut feeling as you learn what your players can handle, but also don't always only rely upon what do you want to call it? Just beefing things up and making things harder. Monsters can have tactics. They can throw waves at them. Here's a wave here, and then a wave comes here, and then they come back behind them. Throw weird stuff at them. You could just, terrain could be a huge thing. Have your monsters use terrain, ambushes, and stuff like that. So at some point, you need to be a little creative as well. You can't be creative with every single encounter because your brain will explode, But from time to time, you're like, okay, let me think this through. Let me figure out how I'm going to challenge them without just beefing up the encounter, So there are different things you can do, So I hope that's somewhat helpful. If it's not, then post a follow-up question, and I'll try to help. But I will admit that is a huge problem in D&D 5th edition. It's probably a problem in most editions of Dungeons and Dragons where the math for calculating that stuff just falls apart and doesn't work at all. So, Princess Canuta, hello, how are you? Nice mug, thank you. It is a nice mug. It's my dragon mug. It breathes fire. So, Philip Ketchup asked about Fishy Business. Fishy Business is an adventure about Kuo-toa. I'll tease this to you real quick. Stand by. So I'm gonna go to my desktop real quick, and I will show you. So so when I create adventures, this is kind of what like my adventure looks like. And the Fishy Business that we began in my stream last week is about Kuo-toa. There's like a Kuo-toa like problem that needs to be dealt with. That's the basic idea. We have like a storyline, we have locations, we have NPCs that we already made and stuff. The basic idea is that there's an Arakakra village of fishermen, and the fish are being depleted from their lake nearby, and the players are have to help solve that problem, and they're going to run into Kuo-toa, and it's going to be fun. So yeah, this is what we got. We didn't get through a whole lot. We got like we spent a lot of time figuring out the storyline, the plot, the situation, so to speak. So yeah, that's kind of what we did. So there you go. There's your overview of Fishy Business. And for anybody who hasn't been in my adventure creation streams, basically what we do is we literally create an adventure together, step by step from beginning to end, with a map and everything. And then when we are done, I create a download of it, and you all can download it and use it however you want. But the beauty of it is that we get lots of creative ideas because it's a collaborative live stream. It's not me creating it, it's us creating it. And if anybody who's new to DMing or just wants a different perspective on how different people create adventures, then we're walking through the entire process, and so hopefully it's something people find helpful, and it's fun, and we all get an adventure at the end of it. So, Josh McClain, what up? Thank you for the $10, dude. Appreciate it. Says running TOA module, Tomb of Annihilation. Had to translate it. There was a translation pause in my head. Rolled Sea Hags, first level party. How would you adjust this encounter? So when you say Sea Hags, that's plural. And if memory serves, and it usually doesn't, Sea Hag is like a CR2. So if there's one CR2, your party's probably... If there are several CR2s, then that's really tough. So there are two things I would adjust. There are two things I would do for that encounter. First of all, I would put that encounter right in front of my players just as I rolled it up. And I would allude to the fact, through narration, through description, through my body mannerisms and stuff, that encounter is way above their pay grade. I would be very, very clear. I wouldn't tell my players, hey guys, this is too hard for you. You should probably talk this out instead of fighting. I would never say that, okay? But through my storytelling, I would basically make it very clear to them that these Sea Hags are way more powerful than they are. Thus, the players will be like, they should get the hint that, wow. And then hopefully they try to talk it out or something, or they try to make a deal. And this is something I do for all of my encounters. I very rarely have any monsters or any creatures that are in the game or NPCs attack immediately. Almost never do I have them attack immediately. There's usually a moment where the two sides see each other, and then my monsters will have some sort of reaction, right? They'll present themselves, and then I wait for my players to decide what they're going to do. Sometimes the players want to talk. Sometimes the players decide to attack, okay? But I want to give them the option of how they engage with that encounter. And I think that's critical for the game not to just devolve into fighting, and to give your players options about how they want to overcome that encounter. And so those Sea Hags, those Sea Hags might appear. One of them might appear in front of them, and there might be two to the side, and there might be some ominous point, some ominous voice that's like,
Welcome to our coven, adventurers. You are lucky this day, for we have already feasted. However, you must pay a price for passage.
Just do something over the top to make them know that, holy crap, this is not good, but give them a way out. That's probably what I would do, something like that. The other option that I mentioned is just to ignore that and roll something different, or to make there be one of them and just have it not be as powerful. Sea hags have a bunch of abilities, right? So don't use all of them. Sea hags have like more hit points, reduce them. They have a high armor class, reduce it. Just change those things on the fly to make it manageable for your players. So that's the other thing you can do as well. So there are a few options there. Hope that helps. All right. Woo! Next. No problem, Josh. Happy to help. Legend Network. Do you have any advice on creating campaigns like a diary adventure and then a storyline that follows it? I'm not sure what that means. If you could clarify that question, I will be happy to answer it, but I'm not sure what that means. Ethan Hasloop says, how do you encourage your players to roleplay? Because all they want to do is combat. You know, it is interesting that you should ask that question, because I did a community poll. I did a community post on my YouTube channel where I literally asked my audience that question, and there was like over 100 responses of people giving examples of how they encourage role playing. So my first response to your question is going to go read through those responses and see what those people say, because I bet you here's the thing, you're going to get a whole lot more wealth of information from a community of folks contributing than just from me, right? Because I'm nothing special. You know, I have a high charisma and I know how to make videos. It's, you know, so yeah. But more serious, or an actual answer to your question is, and I'm going to interpret role play. I'm going to interpret role play as not talking in character. Talking in voices, that's not role playing. Okay, that's talking in voices.
That's talking with a special voice. That's not role playing.
Role playing is actually considering the motivations, the backstory of your character, what your character would do in a given situation, and then having your character act and speak based upon those motivations and stuff, right? How would I encourage that? I mean, one of the things that I do is I draw from my players' backstories. I try to take things from their backstories that directly affect them and put them in the game, right? So it makes it feel more immersive and stuff like that. You know, I lead by example. One of the biggest things I do is I lead by example, okay? So I try to role play all of the NPCs and the creatures that they encounter to the best fidelity that I can. So creatures that have a bad intelligence have a bad intelligence. Zombies are going to lurch forward and fall into pits and do stupid crap. You know what I mean? Kobolds are going to be tricky and sneaky, you know? And I'm going to role play the players. Like, kobolds don't want to die, you know? Most creatures don't want to die. They want to live to fight another day. And so they're going to run away. You know, when things look bad, they're going to turn and try to run. Or they'll try to negotiate. Kobolds don't just want to kill you necessarily, you know, or ogres might not want to just kill you. They might want food. They might just want to take your stuff, you know. So I just try to role play myself as well, you know. So there's a couple answers, I think, off the top of my head. But yeah, there you go. That's what I got for you. So Strife A says, by the way, moderators, if you see questions that you think are exceptionally good and that I should answer, if you can highlight them in like yellow or something, that way I know that this is a really good question to answer. Otherwise, I'm just kind of like grabbing one. You know what I'm saying? Strife A says, I'm a new DM playing with new players running Ice Spire Peak. I'm trying to figure out how to make the world feel more organic and alive, especially during a day or two travel. Any tips? Yeah, I got one that comes to my mind. By the way, I have not read it, nor do I own it, but I have heard that Ice Spire Peak, I think Ice Spire Peak is the adventure that comes with their new Essentials kit that they have. I have heard that it's really good. So yeah. Basically, when they're traveling, encounters. When they're traveling, but not just monsters or people attacking them. You know, there's a caravan traveling. You know, there's some people on the road. They might run. There might be, wolves like feasting on the corpse of a deer or something. Things that they just run across. It's like, oh, interesting. Or they might see a tower off in the distance. It's all crumbling. And you just mention it, and then you begin to move on, unless your players are like, wait a second, let's go look at that tower, And so just think of things like that will add a little bit of spice as they're traveling. You don't want to overdo it, because there's the assumption that we started at point A, there is an adventure at point B. Most players like to get to point B to have that adventure, right? And you made the adventure, so you want them to get there too. So don't put like a bajillion things on long 2 days travel. Have one interesting thing that they come across as they travel, and they interact with that thing, and they have a little bit of fun, whatever that happens to be, and then they move on and they can go to the next one. So there's an idea for you. I don't know if there you go. Natalie Spain says, what's your advice for working on planning periods? I'm going to interpret that as when the players are planning on something. So we're at the game table and they're planning to do something, and they're just planning and they're planning and they're figuring out what they're going to do. I think that's what you're saying. My advice is to listen to them. Listen to their plan, listen to what they're doing, right? So you can understand what they're planning on doing. And here's the thing. So you're not trying to thwart them. Right? But you can start to consider, well, if they do that, once they start to do that plan, how might my monsters or creatures or NPCs react? What might they do? And so you can kind of start to think about how you would roleplay your NPCs or creatures while they're planning things out. Not because you're trying to thwart them and like kill their good ideas, but just it helps you to be able to roleplay the enemy's reaction once their plan begins to play itself out. So I think that's my advice. Okay, so, this guy 85. Oh, cool. Thank you for the $5, man. Appreciate that. Let's get your question answered. I'm hungry. If I give you my P.O. box number, can somebody send me a pizza? Does that work? Would that get here on time? I don't think that would work. I have a cat down here. I'm gonna answer your question. This is Guapo. This right here is Guapo. He's gonna roll. Watch him roll. He likes to have his belly rubbed. Look at this guy. I could just do this forever. He would just roll around. He wants his belly rubbed. This is what he does. He just keep rolling around. Yeah, there you go. That chair you see right there, that old raggedy chair, that's my old chair. It is now the cat chair. So like I put it there because a lot of times one of the cats will go sleep there. So when I go to cat cam, we have a cat there. It's like a plant. Yeah. So there you go. There's a cutie pie. All right, let's get back to business, huh? Back to business. I like to show off my cats. They're awesome. All right, this guy says, how do I, in-game, discipline, not punish a player who gets upset when not getting what he wants and tries to steal from the party a lot? So he's getting upset when he doesn't get what he wants. So I'm not sure exactly what that means. Usually I ask Claire. This is interesting. If anybody ever asked me a question like offline or something, like in my Discord or something, a lot of times I will ask clarifying questions to try to understand the situation better. But I'm going to make some assumptions. I never advocate disciplining somebody in game. Never. It just doesn't work, in my opinion. I think that it is far better to directly address head on a player problem, than it is to punish them in game. Like a lot of people will be like, well, if you're metagaming, just have them take 1d6 psychic damage for metagaming, and that'll solve the problem. I don't think that'll solve the problem. I think that'll make things worse. What I would do, I'll tell you what I would do, if I have a player who's throwing a fit when he doesn't get what he wants, and then he starts doing stuff like trying to steal from the party, I would immediately probably talk to him. Like if he is throwing a fit at the game table and it is detracting from the game, then I'm going to deal with that right there. I'm going to talk to him. Now, it might be right there at the game table. It might be let's go into a different room and talk. But we're gonna hash that out because like that's like not cool behavior, and I'm not gonna put up with it. Okay, you're either gonna learn to behave like a normal human being and get along with folks and not throw a temper tantrum when you don't get what you want, or you're gonna have to leave the game. Okay, I'm not gonna play games with you and be like punishing your character because you can't behave like an adult at the game table. I'm just not gonna go there. So I'm going to talk to him, and there's going to be a conversation, and I'm going to try to understand him, understand what's going on and how he feels, right? But then there needs to be a point where it's like, okay, I understand these things are going on. If there's something else, if somebody else is doing something that's wrong, then that should be addressed as well. So you want to understand what's going on. You want to understand his side of things and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, any problem behavior needs to be addressed head on, in my opinion. And then if that player does not stop exhibiting that problem behavior, then he needs to go. Okay? The last thing you want is you got 5 players and this dude right here is throwing a temper tantrum or he's got a problem, whatever it happens to be. And so this player, the good player, is like, okay, you know what? I'm done. I'm gone. Because this guy I can't play the game with him. And then these guys are like, you know what? I can't. I'm gone too, and I'm gone. And then the next thing you know, who's left in your game? The dude causing the problems. So you don't want to get yourself in that situation. So I would address those things, head on. But I can do that. I can be a confrontational dude if I want to. So Taryn Evans says, how do you run multiple fights in a day to wear down your players' resources? My players are very good against 1 or 2 fights and even high CR monsters. You designed it. This is one of the reasons that everything is a dungeon. Everything is a dungeon. Now, that doesn't literally mean that everything is a dungeon. But when you're designing adventures, think dungeon. Think there is a series of events. There's a series of scenes. Let's call them scenes. There's a series of scenes that need to transpire from beginning to end of the adventure. Whether you're traveling overland in a forest, there's a series of scenes that are going to happen. If you're in a dungeon, the scenes are usually rooms or maybe a corridor in a dungeon, okay? And each scene has some sort of encounter or situation that's going to happen. And then the adventure is going from one scene through the scenes to the end of the adventure. Now, each of those is a possible encounter that your players might fight, or they might somehow bypass or think of a clever way to get around or something, okay? But those scenes are what wear your players' resources down. The next thing you need to do is you need to have something that forces them or incentivizes them not to pause and take long rests after every scene. In an overland encounter situation, when you're outside in a forest, you need to think of some way that's going to so that they can't long rest after each scene or after each encounter, right? There's a time limit to things, or the forest has been alerted to their presence, or there's like a magic ritual going on, and if they don't get there fast enough, it's going to complete, and like doomsday scenarios result. In a dungeon, it's a little bit easier, because if you start going into a dungeon and you have combats, fighting is loud. Especially when you're talking about like swords and metal clanging on each other, people screaming in pain as they're being gutted and dying, okay? Fights are loud, okay? Which means that once that starts going down in a dungeon, it's possible other parts of the dungeon start to get alerted to that. Or if a patrol goes missing, if they take out a patrol, they can't just long rest out here because the rest of the dungeon's probably going to be wandering around. Somebody will see it and alert everybody else. And so, there's usually consequences to not going through that dungeon and before you take a long rest. You know what I'm saying? And so the solution then for dungeons especially, it could be a castle, it could be a building, it could be a thieves guild, it could actually be a literal dungeon, the solution is to run it like it would actually run in real life, taking an 8-hour rest, after each room is going to cause problems. Somebody's going to find out. They're going to find the dead goblins. They're going to come investigate. They're going to get a huge posse together. You know what I mean? So there you go. That's my suggestions for that. I really am hungry. Dun, 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 dun. Beastie Gunner says, question, I am trying to run a module, which I'd never done before, and I'm a little confused on how to get the adventure started without going off the main storyline too much. You just got to give them a hook. You got to give them a hook. Like, something that's going to incentivize them and entice them to go do the first adventure, the first part of the adventure. That's how you get it started. I hope that makes sense. Makes sense to me. Emmanuel, let's skip that one. I should probably go back to the spreadsheet. Tatsa Taylor says, if an evil cleric, level 8, were to become undead, what would be a good type for her to become? Anything. I would just go through the monster manual or Borderkane's Tome of Foes, and I would start looking at all of the undead, and I would pick the one that I like the most. Possibly one that has spellcasting abilities. It could be a Death Knight or something like that. Just pick one that you think is cool. It doesn't have to. And the other thing is too, dude, you can just pick any sort of undead, and then take some cleric spells and slap it on top of there. There is a war priest in Volo's Guide to Monsters, I believe. You could take the war priest spells and stuff and just slap it on top of any undead stat block. So that undead stat block, let's pretend that's let's just say it's a wraith, okay? Take that wraith stat block and just add to it that section from the war priest where it gives like the spellcasting abilities. Boom, you're done. So you can just mash them together like that, and that would work out fine. All right, let's move on to something else. Why are the player handbook and dungeon master guides so expensive? They're not. They're like $30 each, dude. $30 on Amazon. That's pretty dang cheap. When you consider like the hours of entertainment that those books offer, that's nothing. People pay that price to go to a movie, right? That lasts 2 hours, and then their entertainment is done. The Dungeons and Dragons books just, it's the gift that keeps on giving. They just, see, they're not expensive at all. They're not. if wow, that was a long pause. Next question. AJ Silver Radio says, bags of holding and other conjuration magic inside a demiplanes. What do you think the raw is? Also, what would you allow? Inside demiplanes? Oh, that's interesting. I think you might be talking about the whole, portable whole bag of holding rips open type of thing. I don't know what the raw is. Would I allow it? If it doesn't present some sort of game-breaking scenario, then sure, I don't see why I'd have a problem with it. Most things that like are gray, I will always ask myself, does this break the game somehow? Does this cause problems? Is this going to make my life more difficult? Is this going to create more work for me? And if the answer is like, nope, then I allow it. Why not? Any advice? So Stephen Joyce says, this is row 30, says, any advice for scaling up an adventure for higher level players than the adventure was aimed for, as there are being only 3 players? Yeah, this is my advice. Use this and calculate higher CRs and stuff, which means making more of them. Okay, more monsters. And if making more monsters is way too much, then you're going to have to start, customizing the monsters or putting different monsters in there. There's, if you can't just, because there reaches a point where you can't just make more monsters. You can't have like 10 to 20 of these things in every room, because that becomes crazy. So you're going to have to replace those monsters with something different, something that's a higher CR. That's there reaches a point where that's the only solution for you. Unless you want to keep those same low CR monsters and think of creative ways to make them more challenging in combat and stuff. But that's a lot of work. Okay, you might do that from time to time, but to do that through an entire module could be a lot of work. It might be easier just to replace the monsters with something else. But you also got to start asking yourself the question, why am I running a module designed for level 4 with level 15 players? You know, that is a legitimate question that I would probably, if I had a module, so I have run modules, like say it's a module designed for level 12, and my players are level 13, not a problem, I can handle that. Or the players are like level 11, not a problem, I can handle that. I just probably would not run a module designed for level 12 if my players were like level 5, or if my players were like level 17. I probably just wouldn't do it, because it implies way too much reskinning of the module. But one of the purposes of a module is to save the Dungeon Master work, okay, because that stuff is already created. But if you have to recreate it all because your party is way too strong or way too weak, then you're no longer saving yourself work, in my opinion. So that kind of like dispenses with the idea of, you know, running the module. For me, I don't know. But I don't know if that answer was helpful at all. I'm basically just telling you, don't run the module. But I did give you some ideas for how to change it too, I suppose. So that might be helpful, I hope. All right, let's plow through some more questions. We are going to be, so at some point we're going to pass from the answering questions part of this live stream into creating an adventure together as well. So we will be getting to that. All right, here's a question. Cookies and cream. Oh, you know what? It should be, okay, moderators, I don't know if I can allow the asking of questions from people who have food in their name. Because when I see that, it just makes me hungrier. And I think I've already stated that I'm pretty hungry. So I don't know how I feel about that. But cookies and cream, I'll tell you what, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's answer your question. Have you ever had to adjust to different players than you're used to? Not by level or experience, but by play style or vice versa to a certain DM. And that thought, how often do you role play? Oh, that is very interesting. I can see why you highlighted that, Tashio. Yes, absolutely. So I would say that most of my groups, I'm dungeon mastering, is it 4 groups right now? Let me see. I have Sword Coast Guard, I have the Youngling campaign, I have my Panda campaign, I have my Patreons. I think that's it. I think that's it. Those 4 groups. So they all are a little bit different. Each one of them. My Sword Coast Guard group definitely tends more toward min-maxing and just wanting to kick butt, you know. It tends toward that, you know, although there's at least 1 or 2 players that are really heavy into roleplay aspects as well. My youngling group, I mean, these dudes are like, I think they're about 14 or 15 years old. I play with 4 kids. They're 14 or 15 years old. And these guys, well, it's interesting because the boys just want to kill everything, I think, a lot of times. And the girls want to talk more with things. And so, absolutely, I have to adjust the game style accordingly, you know. And then I'm still getting a feel for my patrons. I'm still getting a feel for them. Now, my group at work, those guys are much more casual. Like, the game style is much more casual because we're running it at work. One of the players, at least, is what I would consider like a casual player. And that's not a knock on that. It's just a statement of fact. You know, she's there more, I feel, she enjoys the game, but I think she's there too for the social aspect of it, you know. So yeah, I will adjust things based on my group. What I'll do is I'll just figure out and pay attention to what they like doing and then try to give them more of that. Now, you got to balance that with giving yourself stuff that interests you, because if your group wants to do X thing that they love, but you as a dungeon master hate that and you just don't want to run that sort of game, that's a problem, because then you're not going to be having fun and you're going to feel like it's work and the quality of the game is going to suffer. So there needs to be a happy balance where you're running a game your players enjoy and you're customizing it, right, for their preferences based on what they like to do and also like what you like to do. All that being said, you're almost assuredly going to find that in any given group you have a variety of different types of players. You're going to have some players who love to roleplay their characters, and I'm not talking about talking in voices. That's not role-playing. Talking in character and talking in voices is not role-playing, okay? That is a small aspect of role-playing, right? So you're going to have people like that. You're going to have people that just want to min-max their characters and they want to go in and fight stuff. As soon as there's a monster, Eldritch Blast, Fireball, you know, they're going to immediately want to do that. You're gonna have other players, you know, they're gonna have a variety of different types of players, you know. And so you have to consider that. So usually what I end up doing is in my games, there is a mixture of different elements in my adventures and in my games that are designed to appeal to the individual players, you know what I mean? It's not too hard to do that. Once you understand that there's a spectrum of different types of players, you usually can design a thing that will appeal to most of the different types. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that's helpful. That is a gut thing. That is a thing that from getting experience as a dungeon master, you get a feel for that. And I don't think I'm good at that or an expert at that by any means, but I attempt to do my best. And that's all you can do. At the end of the day, that's all you can do. All right, let's see. Philip Ketchup says, by the way, Philip Ketchup and I have an agreement that I'm allowed to call him Ketchup, because that is not actually his last name. But we have a standing agreement whereby I'm allowed to call him Ketchup, and he does not get offended. I don't think he does. He didn't tell me he did. He said it was cool. He says, Luke, what is an RPG you would love to play but haven't yet? Dungeon World. Dungeon World interests me. I would like to play it. I've read a little bit about it. I think I actually own it. I think I have it. I would like to try it and play it. I've been playing Call of Cthulhu at conventions whenever possible, and that's really fun. I would like to try out Dungeon World because I've read about some mechanics in it that sounded interesting to me. So yeah, that's the one. Ryu Atsuki says, I'm going to be a dungeon master for the first time for some friends, and I don't have anything to have as a map or visual help of where the players are. What can I do? Okay, so you're gonna get yourself a book like this, right, and a pencil, and you're just gonna draw on it. That's it. Just get some paper and a pencil and just draw on it, and then do your best. You know, that's all you got to do. You can also get a simple grid. There should be, you know what? Down in my description, there is a link to like my Amazon store where there is a list of D&D products that I use. And in there are some grids that I recommend. You can get some of these grids for under $20, I want to say, and then some dry erase markers and just draw on them. That's all you need, you know, and then just draw things out, dry erase it, you know. You can use, if you want to draw out a dungeon, you can use things like M&Ms and stuff, candy or something to represent where people are, Monopoly pieces, you know, get creative. But you don't have to spend a lot of money on that, you know. You could just use paper and pencil and call it a day, you know. So I hope that helps. I hope that's kind of what you're asking. Emmanuel Grau says, is there a way to practice painting minis without paying too much money? Yes, there absolutely is. So I have a bunch of these things in the other room. Basically what they are is they are plastic army men, essentially. Only they're not army men. They're plastic fantasy figures. They're not expensive D&D figures. I got a big bucket of fantasy figures off from Amazon, I want to say for under $20, and it came with like 100 of these cheap plastic fantasy figures. Now, they're a little bit bigger than a normal miniature, but it was like about 100 of them for $20, okay? So I could screw up as much as I wanted on these things. I didn't care because they're just cheap little figures. And so when I first started painting minis like a few years ago, I got a bunch of these things, and I got the cheap paint. I was like reaching for my paint, but it's not actually here. When I do miniature painting on live streams, my paint's right here, so I was like reaching for it. Just go to like Walmart or Meijer or whatever you have in your local area and get the very, very cheap paint. It costs like $1 a bottle. Get yourself a variety of those paints, get some cheap brushes, take those fantasy figures and practice on them. Okay, that is the first step that you can do. And you're probably gonna sink about $30 to $40 into like enough paint and figurines to practice as much as you want. And then once you feel like you're getting a little bit better at it, then you can start looking at getting actual real D&D miniatures, you know, and maybe some better paint. But you know what? If you're just getting into it, I wouldn't even worry about it, dude. You might find that those fantasy figurines are all you need to play games at your table, you know. And as your finances allow and as your interest prods you forward, you can start getting into it. There's also, I would also recommend, you know what? There is a channel called Miniac that I'll just spell it out. I don't know. I'm not going to find the link for you. This guy right here, I typed it into the chat. This guy right here has really good videos about painting minis. Okay, so if you want tips and stuff on painting minis, I recommend checking that guy out. He's pretty cool, and he's not boring either. It would be hard for me to recommend a boring YouTube channel, I feel. So he's pretty cool. Arthur, what up, dude? Welcome, man. Good to see you, buddy. I feel like I just want to scroll through chat and see who's here. See who I recognize. I don't know. I've been streaming on Crisp Lemon. That's a cool name. Nice what do you want to call it? Picture too of a lemon. Oh, Seamus Brian is saying lemons out of here. No food. We're not allowed to have usernames with food. Oh, Crisp Lemon has a question too. Well, let's talk about Crisp Lemon's question. He says, how do you handle downtime with your PCs? Newer DM, and I'm nervous about keeping track of where everyone goes when they hit the bigger cities. Yeah, that's interesting. So first of all, I use the downtime rules from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. I like using those rules. I think they work pretty well and stuff. And so basically my players can take downtime between adventures and stuff, and they get to pick one of those activities. So that's how I mechanically resolve downtime. Your question, however, seems to prod toward the idea... Well, I have some murder going on in my basement. Hold on a second. Who's murdering whom? Okay, so it looks like we have Squirty Pie was being murdered by Guapo. You guys can see the cat that's kind of hidden by my chair here is Guapo. And the other one that's doing the cat loaf is Squirty Pie. So she's the one that just cried. Not because she was actually probably in pain, but more likely because she's a big baby. And see, there you go. Look at that. Oh, you guys, check this out. Oh, you can see him over there. Okay, we're gonna narrate this. All right, we're narrating the cat fight. Okay, this is great. So they're underneath the table. That table, those little containers you see on that table, those are my miniatures. I have a bunch of miniatures in those, and there's a camera case bag below it. Guapo is like scratching himself right now. And Squirty Pie, you can see, is kind of hiding behind that camera case. So it looks like they may have calmed down. I was all excited to be able to live... Oh, there we go! Okay, this is awesome. Sorry, guys. This is the fun you have when you live in a house with cats. Okay, Guapo just left the room. He just walked out to a different room. So I think the cat fight is done. That's amazing. So we'll move that back over here. That was beautiful. All right, sorry for the tangent, ladies and gentlemen, but that was amazing. They're like siblings. They're not actually hurting each other. It's just, the cats play with each other. And Squirty Pie, she is such a baby that like she sounds like she's being killed, but she's not. The other cat is probably touching her, and she's screaming like she's being killed. Anyway, let's move on. I think I was in the middle of answering a question. I forget which question it was. Crisp Lemon. So downtime in a big city, just do your best. I mean, if people are going to different places in the city, I can understand that there's probably a pressure to actually know description and elements about this building and that temple, and to know and be able to give all the description, and don't sweat it, it's okay to be vague in general if you're not sure about something, you know. Oh, you want to go to a temple? Oh, sure, you can go to a temple, you know, and the head priest meets you and you want to do religious service or something, you know, and then just play that out. You don't have to have names and details all figured out, you know, and feel free to improvise on the spot as well. That said, if your players are based in a big city, then it's helpful to, you know, learn about the things that are in that city and to keep track of them, especially if they keep on going to the same places, you know. So it is useful to know major features of a city so that you're kind of prepared a little bit for when they go off into different places. So that's some advice for you. That's some advice for you. It's good or bad, who knows? Yeah, rip chair. Emmanuel's like, rip chair. Yes, this chair. That's my old chair, and it is all destroyed. It is the cat's chair now. I have a fancy new chair. So they get this chair. It's literally for them to sit in. That's the only reason I have it. They destroyed it, by the way. Part of that, the seat all ripped apart. That was probably me, just my big butt sitting in it. But the rest of it is them clawing at it and destroying it and stuff. So yeah, that chair has seen better days. The cats need a chair too. They absolutely need a chair as well. All right, so Mark Bartholomew says, I am running a game. Lost Mines of Phandelver and went into Curse of Strahd, and the players want to get to level 20. Any suggestions? Like, they want to get to level 20 via Curse of Strahd. Curse of Strahd is only made to go to level 12. However, I have heard that, I haven't run it or anything, but I have heard that it's a fairly tough adventure and that you might be able to stretch to level 15. Give them a few more milestones so they can get a little higher. You can probably make them to level 15 before they actually fight Curse of Strahd, you know? Curse of Strahd, before they fight Strahd himself. And then beef up Strahd if you need to, okay? That said, once they're at level 15 and they beat Strahd, and then they go back to their home plane or something, at that point, I would homebrew stuff, dude. Like, I don't know that, you could do that. They get back to their home plane and you homebrew stuff. Or, in Curse of Strahd, before they fight Strahd, you start homebrewing some stuff, adding additional things, maybe steal from different modules if you want to, and have them just keep leveling up, and then make Strahd even beefier. You can make Strahd something they fight at level 20 or something, okay? So, but you're going to, at some point, if you want to extend a module out, you're going to have to start putting your own stuff into it, okay? And then, like I said, Strahd would just be more difficult. So that's how I would do that. I'm gonna show that comment. That's a good question. PJVC. So the question is, what's your opinion on the infamous Tome of Horrors and the bad way that it punishes players? My opinion is that if you're going to run that, you should tell your players up front, listen, you guys, Tomb of Horrors, my pronunciation skills. Tomb of Horrors is a classic adventure that is extraordinarily difficult, where you're likely to die, and it's going to be that's the whole thing. It is a meat grinder. It's very difficult. It's very challenging. I've read the Tomb of Horrors in the Yawning Portal, and there aren't a lot of encounters in it, but there are lots of traps and nasty stuff that's basically a screw job. So if I were running that for my players, I would pitch the idea to them and I'd say, listen guys, this is what I want to do, and this is how the module is. They need to understand how that module is, especially if your normal game is a different style. And then I would like to get buy-in from my players. I say, I'd like to run this. This is how it is. Are you guys okay with that? Have a conversation. More than likely, your players are going to be like, if they understand what it's going to be like, they probably will be okay with it, let's assume. You could also tell them things like, we're going to run this with your normal characters. You could even throw this to them. We'll run it with your normal characters. It is a module that is designed to kill you and destroy you and just annihilate you. So we're going to run with your normal characters, but what stays in Vegas What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. In other words, if you all die and wipe and horrible things happen to you, once we're done running the module, you can come back and reset to the way you were before. And so it provides like a life insurance policy of sorts to them so that they don't feel like, holy crap, this is bad. So you could also offer that to them. But definitely talk to them. Definitely tell them what it's like. So don't just do it and then be like, because they won't like that. All right. Let's see. Let's find some more questions here. So Josh Hulls says, Pantheons. Do you have a tendency to use pre-made Pantheons or create your own? Do you have a methodology of creating your own if you do? No, I don't create my own. I run pre-made. Like for adventure settings, for game settings, I always use pre-made adventure settings, and usually it's Forgotten Realms. It just saves me all that time. So the different dungeon masters like to do different things, and there are different aspects of the game that appeal to different people. I get no joy and satisfaction out of creating a world for my players to mostly ignore because adventures are the thing that are the most fun for them. So instead, I focus my time on building those adventures. Okay. However, if as a dungeon master you enjoy building pantheons in your own world, then yeah, let's do it. Go ahead. You know what I mean? So I guess my tendency is no, I don't create my own. But like if that's, but I fully recognize that I'm probably in the minority. My guess is that the majority of dungeon masters enjoy creating their own game worlds, and if that's the case, then I think you should do it. You know, I'm just one man with my own preferences, right? Yeah, that's I think that's my answer. Do I play Magic the Gathering? I have played it about 5 or 6 times, and I think it's very interesting. I'm horrible at it, though. It's fun. It's enjoyable. Philip Ketchup says, Luke, I am classified as food. Yes, you are. However, you are a very salty food with also a lot of sugar in it. So ketchup has a lot of salt and a lot of sugar. So I don't think that's actually true food. If you just have something that's mostly sugar and mostly salt, I don't think that counts. So I think you're okay to ask questions, dude. Who names your cats and why? Says Strife. I think I named most of the cats. And why did we name them? Because cats need names, dude. Like, have you ever run into a cat without a name? Actually, I have 3 cats right now that don't have names. They're strays that we took in. We took in a pregnant mother who was a stray. They don't live in the house. They're outside cats. But there are 3 of them, and we still don't have names for them. I call them Mommy, and then I think my daughter suggested the other day to call them Thing A and Thing B. So that might be their names. I don't know. But they probably need names at some point, for sure. William Myers says, I'm a new dungeon master and I'm doing a sandbox game, and I am making backstories for the kings of the country. Should I keep it long or short on their backstories? Short. Short, dude. Totally short. Like, all you need to know, probably, I'm just spitballing here, for the leader of a country is his motivations and what he's doing with his country. That's probably it. You probably don't need a backstory. You probably don't need to know how he was born, who his parents were, and like, was he a happy little boy or was he sad and angry? You probably don't need to know that, because the chances of that actually coming into play in your game are probably not very high, unless your players are actually at the level where they're going to be like rubbing elbows with kings and talking to kings. The chances are your players are not going to be talking to the king. They're going to be interacting with the game world that might have things that are in motion that the king determines, because let's say this country is at war with another country, okay? You might want to know that this king's motivation is to conquer the countries around him, right? But beyond, you might want to know the name of him, right? But beyond that, you might not need anything. So, but it depends on your goals and what you're doing with your game, obviously. So, but I would err toward less than more, because if I don't create enough, I can always improvise at the game table as needed, and then write it down later so that I remember and I flesh it out. But I'm really good at improvising stuff, so I don't know, that probably, plays into the equation as well. Prepare as much. So I think that a general rule for preparation is to prepare as much as you feel you need to, that you don't want to improvise. So like there's gonna be a line at which like you prepare too much because you could just improvise it, or you'll never need it. You know what I mean? So you got to figure out what that line is for you. All right, let me go up here. I'm on row 37. Joe's got more. Oh, great. What do you got more of, man? He's got, how do you deal with magic that ruins travel? Goodberry, Pass Without Trace, etc. How does that stuff ruin travel? I'm not sure how that ruins travel. I should have read the question before I read it on the stream. I don't know that those ruin travel. If they do ruin travel, then I would ask for a clarification from you. Let me know how you feel those ruin travel. Row 38, I already answered that one. Row 34, CJ Folk says, how do you deal with snobby players? Right there, buddy. That's how I deal with it. Just a 1, 2, 3. Without killing them, but making it seem like you don't do anything, like baiting them or making them do something that has dire consequences. If I have a player issue, I talk with the player about it. If there's a personality problem, I'm just going to talk to him about it. That's how I would handle stuff like that. The shaking of the fist, I wouldn't actually hit somebody. That's juvenile, unless the person hit me first, and then, oh yeah, let's go. LNL Production says, what is the most effective tip for new dungeon masters? Have fun, relax, don't worry. Okay, you're not going to be a rock star overnight. The first time that you do it, you're probably going to make a bajillion mistakes. You might feel like you did a horrible job. Just accept that you're probably not going to be good at it your first time, and be okay with that. And commit to learning and getting better. That's the only thing you can do. Like, the first time you do anything in life, you're probably not going to be good at it. The first time I rode a bike, I couldn't turn, I couldn't brake, I crashed and burned, I biffed it, and then I went crying back into my house, So it's like, dungeon mastering, it's going to take time to get good at it. So my suggestion to new dungeon masters is just to relax. It's okay. You don't have to be great, Just keep getting better at it. Just keep getting better at it, slowly but surely. And the gold standard of whether you're doing a good job or not is everybody at the table having fun? Are you having fun? Are your players having fun? Can you see them laughing and smiling? Are they engaged? Are they on their cell phones? If they're on their cell phones, then they're probably not. Yeah, you might want to think about that. But that's the gold standard. Are people having fun? Are they enjoying themselves? Do they come back for more? If they keep coming back and you can see them, you can visually see that they're having fun, then you're probably doing an okay job, and you should just be okay with that. Always trying to get better though, of course. Let me see. Ender Warlock. That's a cool name. I'll answer that question. Is there anything I can do to improve my improvisation other than just DMing and learning from that? You can. I will sometimes so you can improvise speaking skills. If an NPC, if there's a conversation going on, right? Your players are on one side of the conversation and the NPC is on the other side of the conversation. Sometimes I'll just talk to myself in the mirror, and I'll carry on both sides of that conversation and improvise what the conversation happens, in that conversation. The other thing that I have done before to practice my improvisation skills is I have intentionally put myself in the position in the game where I had to improvise. So my players were going to go over into this swamp and do things. I intentionally did not plan anything, okay? So that I would be forced to improvise everything. So you could just practice those skills, So those are a couple options for you. What did I do? I think I ran an adventure. I ran an entire game session not too long ago. I think it was my last Sword Coast Guard group where I had 3 lines of text about the adventure and about the dungeon. And then I improvised it wasn't a big dungeon. It was a very small dungeon. But I improvised a trap. I improvised a lot of different stuff in there, but I intentionally put myself into that position so that I had to do it. I could have planned it out in advance because I knew they were going to go there, but I intentionally forced myself to not and to improvise it, and it turned out okay. Was it as good as something that I had planned out ahead of time? Probably not, in my opinion, but you get better at things when you practice it. So there you go. Joe's got more. Says, do you Joe's dude, he does have more. This is his second question. Somebody's called No Cookies, Ice Cream, and More Dungeon. Did somebody change their name just because I made a joke about cookies and cream or something? That's funny. Joe's got more. Says, do you prefer having the party start knowing each other or at session 1, or session 1 is the first meeting? I don't have a preference. I don't mind if the party doesn't know each other, or if they do. I don't have a preference. There are two things that I tell my players. These are two things that are requirements to creating your characters, besides creating a character on a character sheet or something. But one, your character must have a reason to want to adventure, to want to go on adventures, okay? I do not want you to come to my table with a character who's like, I hate adventuring. I want to be a blacksmith. Because, thank you, no. You take your blacksmith and go somewhere else. Bring back somebody who wants to go on adventures, who wants to play the game. So, first requirement, have a character who wants to play the game, who wants to go on adventures. Second requirement, he must be willing to adventure with the rest of the party. He must be willing to be part of the group. This heads off the classic problem of the Lone Ranger character who, the player who comes to your table and is like, I'm a loner. I'm a dark loner. And I just want to be by myself. I don't want to travel with those people. I'm going to go off and do my own thing. And then you find yourself in this situation where you're running like 2 different games or something because the one player had this like really unique idea of not wanting to travel with the rest of the party. That just, so anyway, those are the 2 things. Have a reason to go on the adventure so that we can actually play the game, and then have a reason to adventure with other people so that we can play the game together, right? So, but as far as knowing each other or not, I don't care. The players are welcome to either do it or not do it. I've had players before, I had a situation where 2 players were like, you know what? We both know each other from beforehand. You are a Warforged monk, and I am a goblin archer. And we met each other at a circus, and you actually have a platform on your back, okay, that I ride upon, and then I shoot arrows from it and stuff. And so they worked out as part of their backstories how they met, and then that they were together, and they had this interesting thing that they brought into the game. And then in that same group, other players had never met them before, and so there was a variety of it, so I leave that up to my players. That is up to them to determine those details, but either way I think is fine. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is what's going to happen right now. I have drunk quite a bit of coffee, which necessitates my going up to relieve myself. And so we are going to take a brief intermission break, probably a couple minutes. I'm going to go up and take care of business, and I shall be back. So there you go. I'm going to give you some music. We're going to throw a little bit of music on. That'll make things more lively. And we're going to go to an intermission screen, and I shall be back shortly. All right, and we're back. I got some coffee. I should have gotten some food while I was at it. All right, let's, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to do about a half an hour more of the questions, and then we're going to transition into adventure creation. We're going to start working on a D&D adventure together. So we'll kick some questions out for about another half hour and then move on to that. If you have a burning question, I'm easily persuaded by money. So if I'm not getting to your question, I will definitely answer it if you super chat it. I can't get to them all, so there's got to be a way for me to prioritize them. And if you throw money at me, that's a pretty easy way to get my attention. So No Cookies, Ice Cream, and More Dungeons says, how much do you homebrew? Do you homebrew rules? Given not counting custom monsters by changing stats like undead and always telling your players up front, honor as an example stat. Wow, couple, at least 2 questions in that. I homebrew almost all of my adventures. I don't run a lot of modules. It's actually easier for me to homebrew in a way than to run modules. And I can customize it according to my players and their backstories. So I homebrew a lot of adventures. Lots of homebrew adventures, but I always use pre-made settings like Forgotten Realms because that saves me work that I don't want to do. Do I homebrew rules? I try as much as possible to use the rules out of the book. I have very few homebrew rules. And my reasoning is that I want my players to basically know what to expect at the game table. If the rule is in the book, then that's pretty much how we do it. There are a few homebrew rules or house rules that I have for reasons, and most of those house rules are discussed with my players, and we usually come to that house rule through discussion. And it's almost always, I gotta get that out of there. It's almost always in response to a problem that comes about in the rules, So I don't just house rule for house rules' sake. It's interesting. I once had, it was a commenter or somebody sent me like it might have been on Twitter or something, but somebody direct messaged me, and they were like, they wanted to know how many house rules is too many, and I was like, I don't know, how many house rules do you have? And he was like, I have a Word document 80 pages long of house rules. That is way too many house rules. That's like 79 pages too many of house rules is what that is. It's like at that point, you're writing your own game system. You're no longer playing Dungeons & Dragons, dude. Just give your game system its own name. So Philip Ketchup says, is the Dragon of the Black Bean a good name for the mug? Let me take a tactical drink. Tactical coffee. We used to call it that. Back in the day, when I streamed on YouTube more frequently, every time I drank from the coffee cup, we would call it a tactical coffee drink. We could call it Dragon of the Black Bean. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I don't mind that name. That was row 73, Tashio. Just help you out there, buddy. Tashio, my moderator is just flying. He's flying over this spreadsheet. He has this, so I'll just give you a peek at this. This is what he's doing for me. So Tashio is the man. Everybody give Tashio like a shout out because he is making this spreadsheet for me so that I can tell which questions I have answered, which ones I haven't, and he's helping me to see which ones are possibly, the more interesting ones for me to answer for you all. So yeah, Tashio is the man. I think it's still Tashio. Tashio is the one that started it, so I'm assuming that he's still the one doing it. PJVC, are you having a hard time getting YouTube and PayPal to work together? All right, Tashio's still here. Awesome, man. You're kicking butt, dude. Thanks. He's one of my moderators over on my Discord server as well, actually. You know what? Let me do this. I don't know how many of you are on my Discord or not, but if you are not on my Discord, then I would recommend it because it's my Discord But more so because there are lots of dungeon masters there. The whole idea is that they're helping each other out. You know, people have problems and they get advice and suggestions and stuff like that. So if you're not on my Discord yet, then I would recommend you check it out because it's pretty cool. There's a link to my Discord down in the description of this video, if you're interested in that. So feel free to join us over there. It's pretty cool. He's one of my Tashio is one of my moderators over my Discord as well. All right. Raymond359, this is row 61, says, if you notice the dungeon master is taking the game in a direction you as a player or character just would not enjoy or have any real investment in, how would you react? Especially if the dungeon master is stubborn about it. All right, I mean, so here's the thing. Like, your question assumes that you've already talked to your dungeon master and that he's aware that you don't want to do it because he's being stubborn about it, right? If you haven't done that, the first thing to do is my camera out of focus. It looks like this has lost focus on my face. Yeah, it looks like it doesn't like it when I go farther away. Anyway, whatever. It's life. First step is to talk to your dungeon master, right? Second step. So if he's running in a way that you don't like, then you have two options really. You keep playing the game or you stop playing the game, you know? Conversation first, have a discussion, and then you have to make a decision. If it keeps going that way and you don't like it, then you know, am I having fun? Am I still having fun? Or is this becoming something that I just don't want to do? You know what I mean? It's a personal thing. You have to make the judgment call. If I've already tried to have the conversation and the game is going this way and I'm not having fun anymore and I no longer want to play this game, then you can just move on and play a different game, right? Find a different group or something. You know, there's only so much you can do. You can have a conversation, but if the dungeon master is unwilling to change, then you have to move on. You know, that's just, I think that's what you do, you know? However, just because I've been in games where like, the game doesn't have to be exactly what you want, exactly what you love. The dungeon master can't always cater to every player's needs and desires. Right? The dungeon master also has to do something that he finds interesting as well. Otherwise, he's not going to want to run the game. So it's like a cons and pros. Like, how much fun am I having versus how much stuff do I not like? You know? Because there are some games where there might be elements of the game that you don't like, but there are other elements of the game that you love. And so it might be, you might want to keep playing and having fun. You know what I mean? But if most of the elements are things that you don't enjoy, then it might be time to move on. You know, find a different game or something. I mean, that's the only options that come to my head. Besides, like, you know, commandeering the gaming group and, you know, throwing down the dungeon master and taking over and running the game yourself. That's the third option, I suppose. But then, of course, you're no longer playing the game in the same way. You're now the dungeon master running the game, you know, and there's the whole, like, you know, the whole takeover, the coup, the military coup that needs to take place to make that happen. Gallon Smokescale says, I know my players have fun, but I sometimes feel like I messed up. Wasn't as good as I could have been. Any pointers as to how I could get better at not doubting myself, so to speak? No. There is a healthy place for feeling like you messed up, okay? Because when you have that moment where you feel like you messed up and you could have done better, usually that's a good moment to actually think about it and say, okay, how do I feel? I've done this lots of times where I run in games. Every dungeon master is going to have game sessions where he's like, that sucked. I could have done that better. That was a bad game session. Why was that a bad game session? You start thinking about it and you start to pinpoint things that you may have done wrong. And okay, now this was a bad game session. I did these things wrong. And you start thinking, what can I do better in the future? And there's a moment of introspection, analysis, and then you need to have action items, things that you're going to try to do in the future that are going to improve those aspects of the game that you found were lacking. So that feeling is a good feeling to an extent, as long as it's not like, every game session is horrible and I'm just depressed and I want to go, like, you know, eat Twinkies and drink something. Yeah. There's a certain amount of that that's healthy, that's good, you know, because it probably represents actuality. But if it doesn't represent actuality and you just constantly feel that way, then I don't know that I have really good advice for you. Sorry. But if you're, just try to get better, and try to think better of yourself. And remember, it's about having fun, and it's about your players having fun, and if that's happening, then you're good to go, dude. All right, next question. PJVC says, I'm currently DMing for a party of 6 and using the XP leveling system rather than milestone. I find it's going really slow. Any tips on how to speed up leveling? Yeah, use milestones. Or give them more XP. Just give them more XP, dude. Like, here's the thing. This is one of the many reasons I switched to milestones. Like, I have an idea of how fast I want the players to level, okay? So if I want them to hit level 5 by such and such point, then I can get them to that 2 ways, XP or milestones. Milestones, it's really easy to implement, and I just say that after such a point, you're level 5. XP, if I want to get them to level faster, I just give them more XP. Either way, I'm manipulating the game system to achieve my end goal, okay? Now, there are pros and cons of both. And actually, I have a video in my backlog that is to discuss the pros and cons of milestone and the XP system, because there are lots of good reasons to use the XP system, right? There are lots of good reasons to use milestone, and there are cons to each of them, But if you want them to level faster, just give them more XP, dude. That's the biggest tip. If you want to use the XP system, is just give them more XP. Who says that that a CR2 monster has to be worth 450 XP? The monster manual? The monster manual has no more authority. It doesn't have more authority than you as the dungeon master. Double it. Make it 900. Make it 1800. I don't know. Just change that stuff. You have the liberty to do that. It's your game. And your players, most players that I know enjoy leveling up faster. So your players are probably going to enjoy getting boosts and leveling up faster. Joan Dudley, what is this? Hello, Joan. All right, Joey DK says, question. Do you have any advice on a scenario where 2 major bad guys who want the same goal fight it out in a combat encounter where the players are present and probably want to stop both of them? Yeah. First piece of advice. Do not make it a cinematic encounter where you as the dungeon master are describing all of this stuff happening and your players have no agency and no ability to interact with it at all. That is probably going to turn into a boring situation. I'm pretty sure if you look at is it Rise of Tiamat or one of those, the very first module that Wizards and Kobold Press made for D&D, my understanding is there were lots of cinematic moments in it where you were just kind of sitting back and watching and there's nothing you can do about it. If players wanted to read a story or witness a story, they would either watch a movie or they would read a book. Players play Dungeons and Dragons to play the game, right? And so if you're going to have 2 major villains duking it out, put your players there and then let them do what they want to do. Either they're going to fight both of them, or they're going to fight one of them, or they're going to, who knows? But allow them to interact with that situation and do what they want to do. That would be my advice for that. And that could be lots of fun. Imagine if they teamed up on one of the villains, killed him, made a deal with the other one. I gotta watch that finger. That was the wrong finger. And they made a deal with the other one, and then, or just killed the one and was like, we're going to be friends, we're going to help you, kill the one, and then immediately turn around and backstab the other one and take him down. That could be an interesting little situation. Willin X says, going off the earlier question about improv, do you have a good way to get the juices flowing before a game? Like a type of mental stretching? Usually it's thinking about a situation they're going to come into contact with, usually with an NPC, and then just talking in that NPC's voice and having a conversation with myself. That's one thing that I do that kind of gets me amped up a little bit, As far as the juices flowing for improv, I don't really do anything that I do. improv just comes easily to me. Like I'm a pretty good liar. I don't lie very much, but I'm pretty good at it because it's acting. It's just an acting skill. You know what I mean? And so just and having a creative mind, you just make crap up and then you stick with it. You know. I have an old video on my channel about improv, how to improv an adventure and stuff like that. I did it like over a year ago, but you can dig on there and probably find it. There might be some more information in there for you. I'm noticing there is a plethora of questions from certain people over and over again. So I'm trying to pick some new folks that I haven't answered their questions. So let's go with your friendly neighborhood ninja. Nice name. It's cool. Not sure if this is answered or not. I run games for my kids, 4, 7, and 9. Do you have any good riddles for younger players? No, I'm bad at riddles, dude. I'm horrible at riddles. I wouldn't ask me for riddles. I just try to make up easy stuff or things. I don't know, but 4, 7, and 9. There must exist riddle books. There must exist on Amazon books of riddles. If you go to Amazon and type in riddles for children, there has to be books like that. And so I would go buy a book. You're going to pay like $10 to $15. You're going to get a bunch of riddles and you're going to be able to use them like forever, you know. And then whoever took the time to create those riddles, which is a difficult thing in my opinion, gets some money, which that person deserves because creating riddles are hard. That's my suggestion, dude. Steal from somebody else, but pay them for it. So it's not really stealing. Yeah. The Zlegland. The Z Legend. I give some more XP, but no loot for captured and given to police enemies. Okay. Death enemies get less XP, but more loot. Can you recommend that? Dude, you can do whatever you want. I'm not going to say whether that's right or wrong. What I am going to tell you is that by doing that, you are encouraging your players to play out a certain mechanic in the game. So basically, if I capture an enemy and turn him over to the police, I get more experience points, but I don't get the loot. Or if I just kill them, I get less XP, but I get the loot. As a player, that's actually a cool mechanic because it gives me, the player, the choice of which one I want more of. Do I want the XP or do I want the loot? And then I have to make decisions. And decisions are good sometimes, you know? So that sounds like actually an interesting mechanic that I think I could recommend that because it gives your players choices, you know? And that's usually a good thing. Joe's got more. I've already answered like 2 of your questions, but this is a good question. Why do you think D&D has gained so much popularity by now? Because it's awesome, man. My guess is that Critical Role has a large part to do with it. Almost guarantee you those guys have done crap tons, metric crap tons to promote the game and get people interested in it. So I'm guaranteeing you that those dudes have a lot to do with it. That's my guess. They've made it a lot more popular and people can see it and stuff. My suspicion too is that, yeah, I don't know what else might be making it more popular, but it's definitely much more popular, you know. There aren't any ads for it anywhere, you know what I mean? It's like you don't watch TV and see ads for D&D, so I'm not sure, you know, I can't pinpoint it. I'm pretty sure Critical Role has Stranger Things. Yes, I guarantee you Stranger Things has something to do with it as well. Good call, Tashio. Yeah. Even though they say the Demogorgon, it's not the Demogorgon. Demogorgon is the name of that demon. His name is Demogorgon. It's not the Demogorgon. His name is Demogorgon. So I would just like to correct Stranger Things, just if I may. But that said, have I watched all of Stranger Things? I think I've watched all 3 seasons or whatever. And I'll be honest, I tried to watch the first episode and then like fell. And I was like, I don't think I'm interested. But then I kind of did it like a year later. I was like, I'll try it again. And then I got into it and it's pretty cool. So that probably has a lot to do with it for sure. Yeah. Your friendly neighborhood ninja, where can I send fan art? You can post fan art on my Discord server if you want. You're free to. There is actually, I think there is an art channel. I think there. Let me check. On my there's a link to my Discord down in the description. I'm pretty sure that there is an art channel on my Discord. Yeah, there's an original art channel. You can post your art there. If you want to like literally send me like a drawing of like art and stuff, then send me a direct message on like Discord or something, and I'll give you my like PO box if you want to actually mail something to me. I mean, that's cool. I don't mind that. If that's what you're asking, I think that's what you're asking. We'll go with that answer. How's that? Oh, I'm really hungry right now. I really need some food. All right. We got about 10 more minutes left, and then we're going to stop the questions and answers, and we're going to move into creating an adventure together. Let's see. Aramis Duran says, is turning a dungeon into a rescue mission fair? Sure, why not? I have no reason to believe that would be unfair. Let me see. Caliph Storm says, here's a question for you. What do you think of the fact that I ran the Serpent Sanctum? Let me remember. Oh, yep, I remember that. We created that in one of my streams. Got it. And the party turning into snakes just before they were able to leave. That's awesome, dude. So, this is funny. The Serpent Sanctum, for those of you who aren't aware, is an adventure that we created together over on Twitch a while back. Not too long back, a couple months back. We created it together, and it features UNT. And one of the mechanics of the adventure that we came up with is that as you stay in that dungeon, you become more and more snake-like. You begin to convert into a UNT. And there was a mechanic whereby each short rest you took, you became more and more snake-like, okay? And apparently his characters or his players took too many long rests or short rests and then became snake-like UNT. I mean, dude, the way we designed that, there were warning mechanics built into the system. They slowly, after each short rest, became more snake-like. I would want them to just have to live with it, you know? And maybe roleplay being snakes or being snake-like. Are they literally snakes? They're literally like 4 snakes now, and that's what they are? I mean, so if they're literally 4 snakes and your players are like, we're screwed, our characters are essentially dead at this point, I would just talk to them and be like, hey guys, this was a mechanic of the adventure that you turned into snakes. You guys took too many short rests and now you're snakes. We can do 2 things. Just metagame a little bit and level with them and say, look, we can either call it a day and say this is what would have happened and you're now snakes. Sorry, tough luck. Or if you guys really liked your characters and you want to continue playing them, then we can just blame Luke over at the DM Lair for screwing you all over because he created this adventure, and I will roll it back a little bit, you know, and you guys, after like a week, the condition wears away or something. You know what I mean? Just talk to your players, you know. I don't advocate like screw jobs, and if they feel like that mechanic kind of screwed them over and destroyed their characters, then I'm okay with like rolling that back. You know what I mean? We're there to have fun, you know what I mean? So not to just be like, that's the way the adventure was written, and now you gotta live with it. You know what I mean? So just it's okay to change that if you want to, if they want to. Now sometimes your players are gonna be like, no, that's what happened. That we stayed too long, and those are the consequences, so we should live with them. In which case, then you can roll up new characters. And if they want to roll up new characters, I'd have them start at the same level. Give them the option of rolling up new characters at the same level so they don't feel like they've lost all their progress, and then just continue with your game from that point forward, you know? Oh! Timothy Arnold says, I'm a new dungeon master. My players became too powerful way too quickly. What can I do? So, there's a couple reasons that players become way too powerful way too quickly. One of them is because the dungeon master gives them way too much cool crap, aka magic items. All right? I don't know what your case was, dude, but if you gave them way too many magic items and that's why they became powerful, then that's on you, dude. You got two options to fix that. One, you live with it, okay? And you just have to beef up everything from that point forward. Or, and this is what I would do, I would go to my players and I'd be like, hey, listen, guys, you guys know I'm a new Dungeon Master, and I totally screwed up. I gave you guys way too much magic items or whatever it was, which resulted in you guys becoming too powerful. And now, let's pretend you're running a module, and now the module is too weak for you. What can we do about this? Can you guys help me out? It's my fault. It's 100% my fault. I will own it. Can we fix this? Because honestly, this is going to make the module really hard for me to run because you guys have all this cool crap. You know what I'm saying? Usually players are reasonable enough to be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Let's maybe give some of these magic items back and then you can figure it out or something. If they became way too powerful through another means, then it's usually because they were min-maxing. They had character class combinations, like Paladin, Sorcerer, or Splashing Warlock and crap, and they did theory crafting stuff from like YouTube videos who will tell you how to make this super powerful thing, or a Reddit thread or something like that. In that case, if they became way too powerful, then you can do basically the same thing. You can scale up your stuff, or you can have a conversation with them. I don't like an experienced dungeon master. I would let my players do that stuff, and I would adjust my game accordingly under most circumstances. However, for a new dungeon master, there is nothing wrong with you just telling them, listen, I'm new at this, and all of these crazy powerful characters you guys made is making it very difficult for me to run the game. We need to, can we discuss how we can change that? Because otherwise, I'm struggling here. Like 3 years from now, this is great, and I'll know what to do. But right now, like, I don't know what to do. So can you guys help me? Can we talk about this and come up with something that works? So in either case, I think it's a conversation, Timothy. That's what I would do, and then see if you can come up with an agreement in the group. You know what I mean? But it's a conversation with your players. Don't just decide a thing, because then they don't have their voice isn't present, and they might not have buy-in, and they might not like it, and then they might revolt and take over. Okay, so JP Fernandez says, I am currently, also see foolishly, designing a campaign and setting from scratch for my first foray into DMing, doing a lot of custom PC options. Any you're particularly proud of? Are you asking like PC options that I've created from scratch or something? I don't have any. I don't really custom homebrew stuff. I'm not sure what your question is. Post a clarifying question. And Tashio, if you post a clarification, can you throw it in there so I'm aware of it? I'm just not sure what you're asking. Joan Dudley, what do you do when your players want to switch characters? Do you allow one switch? I put a lot of work into the story for their characters. Do you lock off to a switch? Okay, so there's two things. There's two answers to your question. Because there are two types of players. There are players that will stick with a character for quite a long time, but then eventually become bored with it and want to change. Okay? And then there are players, like one that I have, that wants to roll up a new character every game session. Okay? You're going to handle these two players in different ways. One of the players, you're going to say, listen, dude, no, it's not happening. We are not playing with your little like min-maxed power gamey new character every single game session, okay? Too much work here and reasons, okay? So we're gonna set up some sort of interval here. Okay, you are allowed to roll up a new character between adventures, say, or you're allowed to roll up a new character every 3 months in like real life time or something. Come to an agreement, but there needs to be a point where you're like, no, this is interrupting the game. This is making my life more difficult. And as the dungeon master, I don't need more work. So there's a line to be drawn for that type of player, because there are players like that who will like literally just like theory craft crap and like come almost every game session. Hey, you know what? Can I play this? No, you can't. So that's one option. Now the other thing is the more reasonable players who every so often are like, I'm kind of bored and I'd like to try something different. In those cases, I allow it. And I allow them to roll up their character at the same level as their current characters. Because the way I see it, the game is to be had fun, is to, and if your players aren't having fun and they're not enjoying their character, then I want them to be able to play a character they're having fun with. Now, the whole thing about the backstory and putting all that work into their characters, so I get it, I do. The solution to that is to just-in-time. Use just-in-time creation, okay? If you want to incorporate their backstory, when you start to think of how to incorporate their backstory, have it be just for the next adventure. Have it be for just the next game session. Pull a little element in, If you have your players create backstories and then at campaign creation, you're doing all of this elaborate work to pull in their backstories, and work it into the game and work it into the campaign, you are really tying your hands and you're tying your players' options. Because, what happens if somebody dies? What if somebody dies during the game? If you did all that work, you know what you're going to find yourself doing? You're going to find yourself not killing them. You're going to find yourself thinking of ways to save them, and then the game might feel like less of a role-playing game. It might feel like there's not actual consequences to our actions because, the DM just keeps saving us all the time, So, and then your players have less freedom in playing different characters and stuff because you put a lot of work into it. So possibly one of the answers is just to not put as much work up front into it, but to be a little bit more loose with it and do it more just in time, just when you need it. That might be one of the solutions as well. So just throw that out there for you. I like to be able to just kill characters and not feel like I lost work. Otherwise, I would be trying to save them too. You know what I'm saying? Okay, here's JP Fernandez's thing. He said, you kind of answered by saying you don't do custom content, though. Does that mean you advise against custom PC options? No, JP Fernandez, I don't advise against it by any means. I think there is tons of freedom in this game, and most of the stuff is just an open gray area. If you like to do it, do it. If you have fun doing it, do it. There are probably some very black and white things that I'll probably be very don't do this. For instance, punishing players in game for an out of game problem. I'm almost always going to say, talk to your player. Don't punish him in game. In this case, no, dude. If you like designing custom PC options, then do it. My only suggestion to you would be to keep balance in mind. Compare the customized features that you come up with things that Wizards of the Coast already made in the game, and try to have them be balanced. Okay, and the reason I mention this is that if you do things that are way too powerful, then you're going to make the characters are going to be more powerful, which means that you're then going to have to boost all of your encounters and make everything more difficult. And that's more work for you. Okay, it's much easier, in my opinion, to balance things as much as you can through a comparison usually before you just go ahead and, change things. So that is my answer to that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the question and answer has been awesome, but what is this? Wally D. I was about ready to move on to adventure creation, but I saw another question that got my interest. Wally DM says, your video quality is amazing. What camera are you using? This video quality right now? Okay. And tell me what that funky lighting you have going on. I dig it. Oh, okay. So, for video quality, I have a web camera. It's called the Logitech Brio. It is a $200. I think it was $200. So it's not the cheap Logitech 920. I think is the standard cheapo webcam that most people use. It's $50. So I'm using the $200 option. So it's a better webcam. So my intention with getting the better webcam was that it would have better video quality. I have lighting. So here's a pro tip for you. For anybody who's doing video work, lighting makes like 90% of the equation. Okay, you can have a crappy camera, but lighting and you have good lighting going on, and the video quality is going to look a heck of a lot nicer. Part of the reason is that cameras need lots of light, and when they get lots of light, it gives them more information, and then you can tweak the settings, exposure and all of this other junk that's going on in there. The other thing too that I'm doing is I have a sharpness filter on, which makes everything, it just tweaks the sharpness a little bit, which makes it look a little bit like higher resolution than it probably is. I'm actually streaming at 720p right now. I think that's the maximum that I'm sending over to YouTube servers. So I'm actually not sending, it's not even a full HD. Okay, I'm not sending 1080 over. I'm certainly not sending 4K over. I'm just sending 720 over, So it probably, if you were to show this on a big screen TV, it's not going to look too good. That would be my guess. So, but I have a decent webcam and I have good lighting, acceptable lighting going on. The background is just floodlights. They're RPG floodlights. That's all they are. $30 on Amazon. Look up RPG, not RPG. RBG, red, blue, green. RBG floodlights. You get them for like $30 on Amazon. I have 3 of them in the backgrounds. The window over there, that is just a garage lamp, and I have a gel over it. I have a red gel that I have clipped over top of it. And so it just shines up into that little window thingy that I have in my basement, And so it's not crazy stuff going on. Just a few things, So that's it. Okay, there we go. I think we're done with the questions and answers. I didn't get to everybody. There's nothing I can do about that. So, Julian, yeah, if you want to record your games to see what you do better, record them. And then you can watch yourself and stuff. Also, ask your players for feedback. Anonymous feedback via SurveyMonkey. Players will be more honest with you if they're doing it anonymously. That's another way to find out what you can do better. Ask your players. Because they're the ones that have to, suffer through it. All right, this is what we're doing, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to transition to adventure creation. We're going to do just a little bit of adventure creation together tonight. And I'm gonna take a brief intermission. I'll throw up an intermission screen. It'll be about maybe 5 minutes or so, maybe max. And then when we come back, we're gonna start working on a D&D adventure together. So many of my streams, what I like to do is just create adventures and stuff together. And so we're gonna do that. So we'll do that for the rest of the evening, and then at some point here, I need to go pick my daughter up from a football game. So once she calls me and says, "Dad, come pick me up," that is when the stream will end. So we will do this again someday, the question and answer thing. I have fun answering questions and stuff, and there were lots of questions I didn't get to. So yeah, sorry, can't do it all. All right, I'm gonna go to intermission now. When we come back, we will do some Dungeons & Dragons adventure creation. So the stream is not over. We're just gonna transition to something different. Throw the music on. Intermission screen. All right, we're back. Yeah, I got it. I don't know what that was. Some little bug was flying around. I got it though. Otherwise, it would like be attacking me while we're doing this. All right, let us start some D&D adventure creation together. Yes, Gustavo, you are supposed to see me during intermission. That's why my intermission screen has my little camera there. You know, how to D&D, you bring up a really good point. The whole idea of starting a different stream, because like I did the question and answer segment, and then I did the what do you want to call it? Now we're gonna go on to something different. That's an interesting point. I'll take that under consideration. It definitely would help folks, I think, on the replay to differentiate between it. But I can also just drop like a little link that will like help, you know, if you want the Q&A stuff, boom. If you want to skip ahead to the adventure creation, there you go. So, but I got you, dude. I understand what you're saying. We can absolutely make an adventure about annoying insects. So the way the adventure creation works, guys, is we're doing this collaboratively together. So I'm counting on you guys to contribute ideas and all that good stuff. So I'm going to pull up the adventure itself. I'm going to give you, I'm going to talk really quickly about the main idea behind the adventure. And then we'll move on from there. So, all right, Tashio, thanks a lot, dude. I appreciate you helping me out with the questions and stuff. And then, yeah, we'll see you next time. I really appreciate it, dude. You're awesome. I'm gonna send you a pizza. You're in Australia, right? I will send you a pizza. As a thank you. All right, so this is the adventure we began, and it basically features. We have it's an adventure around Kuatoa. Oh, you're in South Africa. Oh, okay, cool. For some reason, I had Australia in my mind. I'll try to remember that. There's a big difference. It's like different sides of the world, Luke. Probably not. Probably not different sides, but at least a quarter rotation would be my guess. Actually, that's actually closer because you have like Africa, and then India's a big part, and then Australia's there. That's probably a quarter turn. All right, so we have Kuatoa. The basic storyline is that there is a group of Kuatoa fanatics who are depleting the fish supply in a mountain lake. The Kuatoa fanatics eat the fish and use them as sacrifices to their aboleth deity who lives under the mountain. A nearby village of Arakakra fishermen is struggling to catch enough fish to sustain themselves and ask the heroes to find out who is depleting the fish supply, stop them, and save their village. That's the storyline, okay? And all we've done so far is we have named and had really brief descriptions of some of the locations that take place. We have discussed the names of some of the NPCs in the adventure, and we have an inciting action whereby the players get from wherever their starting place is into the mountains. They're basically babysitting a merchant's caravan. There is an encounter that happens on the way to the mountains, and then once they get to Cliff's Edge, which is the name of the Arakakra village, they get asked by the elder to go on the mission. So that is as far as we have gotten so far. So, what I want to do, the first thing that I want to do is I have a request from one of my patrons. So my patrons get to like, I think it's once a quarter, one of them gets to help determine what we do in one of these adventures that we create. And his request was that we create some sort of fantastical location, something just really awesome and amazing as kind of like a setting for this for an adventure. And so I wanted to get started by imagining, I think the way that we could probably make this some sort of fantastical locale is by focusing on the Kuatoa's lair, like where the Kuatoa live. And then we can just make that some sort of like really interesting place, you know, with different stuff about it that would be really awesome. So I kind of want to kick this off by just brainstorming some different ideas for the place where the Kuo-toa live. And so this is the part where you guys all start giving me ideas, because I don't want to make this myself. I want you guys to help drive the direction this all goes. Now, a little backstory on the Kuo-toa. They are, I mean, I'll pull up the monster manual and show you guys about them a little bit while you start brainstorming some ideas for their fantastical location. Let me find I gotta find my thingy bobber. Gotta find the thingy bobber! And monster manual, where's the monster manual? There it is. Okay, here we go. And that's the goblins. Stand by. I'm gonna give you some Kuo-toa in a second. Where are they? KKK. Well, that's not good. I didn't mean to say that. That is the name of a very evil group, in my opinion. So do not endorse that at all. Here are the Kuo-toa. The backstory on the Kuo-toa is they were basically slaves of the Illithids at one point, and then they became fanatical worshippers of deities. And so we are kind of painting the Kuo-toa as a sort of little group of them that are here that are fanatical worshippers of an aboleth that it lives under the mountain. So these Kuo-toa, the name of the Kuo-toa, do we have them? Yeah. Children of the Deep Father is the name of this group of Kuo-toa. And they are led by Zagark, Reaper of Secrets, who is the Kuo-toa Archpriest, who's leading the Children of the Deep Father. And they worship, what is the name of this person? Zorchild the Binder. That right there is the name of the aboleth that they worship. Okay, so that's a little bit of backstory information about these Kuo-toa. That's probably not how you say that monster's name, but that's how I'm rolling with Kuo-toa. So we want to create some fantastical location where they have their lair. They are in a mountain and there is a lake. So it needs to somehow be in the context of a mountainous area and the lake that they are getting the fish from. So with that, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to read your comments and see what ideas we have here. A live Zaratan with the city on its back. Okay, now a Zaratan, hold on, let me look that up. That is like a big turtle, isn't it? Is that a big turtle? Where is Zaratan? What book is Zaratan in? Is that like Volos or something? Or is that Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes? Help me out. What book is the Zaratan in? I'm just gonna start pulling them up. It's in one of them. It's gotta be in one of them. Then I'll get Mordenkainen's up. Hold on. Where's Mordenkainen's? Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. There we go. Open. Open! Which book is that in? Somebody help me out. It's not in one? It's gotta be. Oh, it's not even in a book? Oh, well. Okay. Well, it doesn't need to be. For some reason I thought it was. Is that the big turtle? The big giant turtle? Oh, okay. That's what it looks like. Alright, so that's an idea. Something water related, like a flooded cavern with beautiful gems of different colors that shine in the dark somehow. Okay. That's not bad. I'm just going to start, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, this is going to be the layer ideas. So Kuo-toa layer ideas. I'm just going to start copy pasting your ideas here, and then we'll decide what we do with them as we go here. So we have from Ender Warlock, an Atlantis-like area. They live down below the lake, deep into the mountain, and air pockets hold different buildings and shrines. Now that's interesting. That would almost get us into creating the entire village of Kuo-toa. And I want to create one short dungeon. So if we can somehow work your idea into it, but I'm not creating an entire city of Kuo-toa, you know what I mean? Because that's way too much work. We need to limit the scope of this adventure to one short dungeon. That is one of our scope requirements for this. So Shauna says, could be a slight mirage built by the Kuo-toa, since if they believe hard enough, it can become true. So why not develop that into their surroundings? Oh, that's interesting. So some sort of mirage. Okay, so maybe the city is a mirage or something. There's a mirage of a city. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. What else we got? Natalie Spain's got her dad into this channel today, and he's excited about it. Oh, cool. Hi, Dad. Natalie, is your dad watching right now? If he's not, you need to like text him and be like, Dad, we're in a live stream right now. Let's go. Get over here. It's fun. Jolly Cotton, inside the mountain, mining to find the aboleth. Okay, that's interesting. So they're mining to find the aboleth. Do they want to find the aboleth? Or do they already know where the aboleth is? Because the aboleth could be in the mountain lake somewhere already, you know. So there are some options there. That's an idea, though. Sleep. Oh, I just jumped all over the place. It's not in the canon, but an ancient volcano where the crater is now a lake. The lake flows into the channels where lava once flowed out of. Oh, I mean, it sounds like that's interesting. That sounds like we're talking about an underwater adventure. I would not be opposed to an underwater adventure. And then, well, here's the thing, though. The players. This. So I should have said this. This is very important. This adventure right here is for 4 characters, levels 1 through 4. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do something real quick here. I'm gonna change my stuff. Give me a second here. I'm gonna do something. Oh, I gotta stop that first. I have this like the ticker text down below. I just want to change it. It's important that people know that we're creating this for characters levels 1 through 4. And the reason that it's important for people to know that is that an underwater adventure would be extremely difficult for a party of levels 1 through 4. So, if we were to do that, we would have to create like air pockets or something where they could like surface and get air and then swim and then surface and get air, which actually is not that might be a cool way to do that, you know. And then there could be air pockets out of that. So you could have an ancient volcano. Yeah, so we have to have air pockets, right? That's not a bad idea. I like where that's going. All right. So Ninja Theory Ash Rams. Ninja Theory! Dude, you're I remember you from my Twitch. Like, were you on my Twitch channel Tuesday in our stream when we were painting minis? Your name is very memorable. Says it must be a holy place of worship. Feeling should be somewhat awe-inspiring. I agree. We need to capture that somehow. So what sorts of things? We definitely need to capture that. I totally agree. What sorts of things would be awe-inspiring? You know, you guys, you know what? I like this idea of the ancient volcano where the crater is now a lake. Lava flows into channels where the lava once flowed out of. So the adventure takes place in the lava channels, which form the Kuo-toa layer. That is what we're going with right there. That is the location, and we're gonna have to include air pockets. But I think I like that idea. So they're actually gonna have to go underneath the water of the lake into the ancient lava channels, you know, and that's where the Kuo-toa live. So that's a thing. I like that. We're rolling with that. Okay, that's definitely what we're doing, and I need ideas for how to implement that. Other ideas related to that. Also, I want us to brainstorm this idea of it being a holy place of worship. Feeling the feeling of being in this area should be awe-inspiring. So what could we do to elicit that reaction when we describe that to our players? So let's brainstorm some ideas around that as well. Yes, we definitely have the entrance is below the water's surface. We definitely have that going on. The Z legend. So we'll have to find a way to get there. So, a big question, how do the players get there? We'll have to answer that. I feel like there needs to be a mechanic that they can actually get to that dungeon. Levels 1 through 4, so we got to have an answer. Maybe the Aarakocra could help them. Maybe there's something we can throw in there. I mean, there's obviously the whole water breathing potion thing, but maybe we can come up with something more creative, than just giving them water breathing potions. Because that's what I would do, which is why I'm not designing this. Oh, okay, so the Zeraton is in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, but it's land-based. Okay. Well, you know what? I think we already have a different idea, but that's good to know. Because it sounded familiar, like I had seen a picture of it, and so I was like, I think I've seen that in one of the module, or not the modules, the books. So that made sense. Ooh, perhaps eating the fish lets you breathe underwater for a while. Oh, they could be like blowfish or something. You capture a blowfish and you're like, when you can swim or something. That's interesting. Oh yeah, Andrew Davis says make it waist high with sparse swimming areas. Yes, Andrew, I like that. That's a good idea. So there are air pockets, and then there are swimming areas. So a lot of the dungeon will just be in like waist high water, which will still be difficult terrain. So that will still pose a problem to the characters because they're going to be like wading through waist deep water. The Kuo-toa and other dangers could be below the surface, and they could like jump out at them and stuff. So yes, I like that. That's a good idea. And then that takes away the problem of like not being able to breathe. But sometimes there are swimming areas where it's fully submerged, and then that will be a thing that they'll have to deal with. A crystal cave. Okay, that's a great idea. So Jane or Jan? One of those two. Sorry. Says there should be a crystal cave. I like that idea. So let's do a crystal cave. As much as air pockets work, if I'm a first level character, I wouldn't want to trust there's going to be air pockets all over in a million years. That's a very good point, Paul. So there needs to be some sort of reassurance that they can actually go down there and not just drown and die. So the dungeon master somehow needs to, provide a mechanic or reassurance that it's actually doable. All right, so I'm open to suggestions, but I totally agree. There needs to be a way that you can entice your players to go down there. Otherwise, they're going to be like, I'm not doing that. We're just going to drown and die. Because they don't know what they're going to find down there. So that's a good point, dude. Some cool Elfbait. Some cool obstacles for these tunnels could be sharp volcanic glass. Yep. So sharp volcanic glass, that's a good idea. Okay, so we could have some traps or an area that's like, and the volcanic glass could be like on the ground where they're walking too. They might not see it there. They might see the sharp glass on the walls and the ceiling, but like, assuming they have like a torch or something out, it's going to cause the reflection off the surface and probably make it difficult to see what's down there. So that could be like an area that they like find difficult to navigate and stuff. The aboleth should be in a lower chamber, originally in a Illithid city. That's possible, yeah. I don't want to build out a city, though. I definitely want to make sure we keep this within the scope of doable. Especially considering I don't want to take like a half a year to build a city out. Not a blowfish. Blowfish are deadly toxic. Okay, all right. I mean, it was just an idea. It's a fantastical blowfish, you know? Underground flooded caves usually have portions of the tunnels that come up out of the water, so they have some dry land sections. Yes, I agree. That'll be a thing. There can also be some former vent channels that are still open to the surface or the outside of the old volcano, but have long since been covered over with debris or foliage. Yes, David, I think we just found the way for the players to get down into these flooded chambers. Great idea. That is probably the way that they're going to be able to actually get down there. So we had that question up there. How do the players get there? That is our answer right there. And that also is like the reassurance mechanic, right? Because they'll just go down these tunnels and into this underwaterish area. Most of it's waist deep, but occasionally they have to swim. And so that's part of the reassurance. The other part is just the social contract between the dungeon master and the players that, like, I am designing, hello, welcome to my game. I have designed an adventure that is possible for you to complete, you know. And if your players don't trust you that far, then you've got more work to do than designing an adventure, I suppose. All right, let's see what else we got here. I don't want to give them a magic item. I think we have a solution to getting down there. Oh, quippers and crocodiles. Those are good ideas. Quippers and crocodiles. I mean, they just got some monster ideas there. So this is an interesting locale. All right, what else can we add to this locale to make this interesting to be down here? A mechanical platform slowly lowering the players to the entrance. I think they can climb down. If we have these vent holes and stuff, I think we can get them down there. They can just climb down. We wouldn't make it too hard. They have ropes and stuff. They're coming from the top, so I think it should be okay. Let me see. So, an adventure idea. A giant prison that has recently been taken over by the prisoners who have just switched places with all of the guards and need adventurers to help subdue the last rebels. Oh, that's good. We can have a room that's like that. There could be a room that does that. I like that. So let's throw that down here. We're just, at this point, we're gathering a bunch of ideas. Let's see. Yes. What does this place sound and smell like? What if the aboleth is in a wild magic zone? So they're not actually going to encounter the aboleth. The aboleth is a CR12 creature, so that won't actually be included in the adventure. These Kuo-toa just worship it, but it's not going to be in there. CJ Folks says, question, why did my wife leave me? CJ, I can't answer that question. I am sorry. If I could answer that question for you, man, like I think you would owe me a bunch of money for like counseling or something or solving that, you know, but sorry, buddy. I can help you run Dungeons and Dragons games. That I cannot help with. Yeah, they could do that. Let me see. They're gonna have to. Yeah, we'll have a mechanic for that. Oh, statues and ruins. Okay. So yeah, we can put statues and ruins down in here. So let's put this over here. Let's indent this. We can have some statues or ruins that are in this place. Okay. I like it. Oh no, the aboleth won't be the boss. No, this is a level 1 through 4. So the aboleth is just part of the backstory of the adventure. Giant horrific tentacle beasts. I mean, that's cool. We could probably do something like that. That's an idea for us. Oh, interesting. What if a lot of the oxygen comes in from small portals to the plane of air? That's where the cause of the volcano cooling down as well. Oh, that's interesting. That is interesting. interesting backstory. Let's put that right here. Cool. Nice. How about a giant chamber that has a whirlpool that sucks the PCs down to their doom if they get caught in it? Make it a set piece or prop and toss enemies into it for easy kills. Oh! That is an interesting idea for an encounter. I like that. We're going to put that right... Oh, let's see. Adventure ideas. You know what? Let's start creating a little list of different encounters, different things they're going to find down in here. All right. At some point, right now we're just doing a lot of brainstorming. But at some point we're going to actually start writing this up. But we're just in our brainstorming phase right now. So we're getting down a bunch of ideas to help flesh this out. There is furnishings on the ceilings? Why is there furnishings on the ceilings? Shallow breeding pools in the way of the characters filled with Kuotoa flesh-eating larvae ready to eat them. That's cool, dude. That's a cool idea. David Morgan says, "Why didn't my wife leave me?" You guys, I am not capable of answering those questions. Marriage counseling is not my forte. Have the Kuotoa sculpt statues of the aboleth and have them placed around the lair. Yes. Yes, that's a great idea. That will help flesh out the feeling of it being a holy place of worship. Those are kind of, and those are like whole, oh, there should be like shrines. Okay? Shrines to the aboleth. Or at least one shrine to the aboleth. Okay, cool. So Shauna says, maybe it's an attractive smell, such as to lure the players deeper. Okay. Ooh, you could have an occasional undead from previous people who perished there. That's not a bad idea. Skeletons and zombies. And I like that because I like to have a variety of types of creatures in a dungeon. But of course there needs to be like an explanation for why they're there. You know, whoops. Woo! Woo! Some wrong buttons there. But that's a really good explanation for why you would have undead there. They just got trapped down there and died and drowned or something. So that's a cool idea. Oh, there we go. Superb Starling has a great idea here. What if sounds were amplified by the volcanic glass and have spooky echoes? That is great. I like that. Cool. Great. We're getting some really good description about this place. I like it. Zombie fish. Oh! Yes! Let's just take the zombie stat block and call it a fish. That is a cool idea, too. I don't want to turn this into like an undead adventure so much, though. But that's a great idea. A little bit sprinkled in will be cool, but we can't go overboard. Where was I at? Sea Spawn. Ooh, Sea Spawn. That's interesting. I don't know that I've... Oh, what is that? CJ Folk says, can there be an area that has treasure mimics in it, and the floor casts arms of Hadar every turn? Ooh, that's interesting. That's like a. These are actually encounter ideas, I guess. Those are encounter ideas. That's cool. That's a cool idea. Superheated volcanic vents. The volcano may not be all the way dormant. Ooh. That's a good idea. For some traps and stuff. Some encounter ideas. Okay, cool. What about having a room that is close to the magma and can have heat-related challenges? Yes. Yep, we can do that. That's kind of related to... That's related a little bit to the superheated vents. But yeah. Let me see. Oh, yes, there should be, yes, S. The S is your name. There should be religious texts if it's a holy place. Yes, so they should probably find some sort of religious texts in there. All right, good. We got that jotted down. Excellent. What else we got going on? Whoa, what is this? What somebody said something about a marriage counselor. Paul Schreiber. What? No marriage counselor archetype for clerics? There should be, right? Ooh, an unfortunate NPC trapped under a rock being sacrificed. That sounds interesting. A little encounter idea for you. I spelled encounters wrong. There we go. Fix that. Oh. Have volcanic glass windows with the aboleth and the archpriest Kuo-toa depicted in a holy way. Oh, that's a good idea, dude. I like that. Let's put that there. Nice. Shrines decorated with the remains of things that the aboleth has mutilated. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Got that. Just brainstorming the crap out of this. But you guys see that we are coming, I mean, we're fleshing out here like, you know, something. Verses carved into the walls. Ooh, that's a good idea. It's related to religious texts, right? Nice. Ooh, oh, Ninja Theory says a sickly sweet smell of vanilla and rotten meat. That's great. So that's like a description of it. So that's a way to describe it. And somebody said stone tablets. So yeah, you could have stone tablets. That might be something for like the religious texts or something. Yeah, I like that. Leeches the size of cats. Oh, that's cool. We'd have to find like a stat block to use for those. But that's pretty cool. I like that idea. All right. Sweet. What else we got going on? Ooh. Jolly Cotton says a character that tries to get the players to join their religion. Or yeah, it could be a Kuo-toa that does that or something. That could be, so that's kind of like an encounter or something. All right. Let's see. Yellowstone, stinky hot boiling water with so many minerals and stuff that it forms crystal rocks around the edges. And geysers, of course. Might fit with the, yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's put that in there. That is kind of, that's kind of a description of the area. Sea spawn. Oh, somebody had the idea for sea spawn. Let's put those into our. We can't. So we're not going to be able to use every creature that we brainstorm. Nor are we going to be able to use every idea that we brainstorm. That's just the way it works. Because I want to create a short adventure. I don't want this to be super long. We have to create something that's bite-offable that we can actually finish within the scope of like a few streams. I don't want to be streaming until like, next summer and still not finish the adventure, All right. All right. Well, I'll write that one down. I think I'm ready. We've brainstormed a whole lot here. I think we are ready to move on to implementing some of this stuff. Okay? So I think that's what we need to do. I got that one down. All right. We're going to move on. So I know there were lots of ideas that you guys threw in there that I didn't jot down and stuff. But ooh, that's interesting. Volcanic ash made into paint for some of these holy pieces. Oh, that's cool. That's an interesting idea. I'll write that down somewhere. Right there. All right, sweet. Ooh, there should be a shrine that has a table with a blue flame. It has inscriptions that say something in an unreadable language. The flame disintegrates flesh. All right, that sounds interesting. See, you guys have so many good ideas. We could just sit here all day, you know, and like brainstorm ideas. This is pretty cool. All right, anyway, so how are they going to get down here? So I think we had a mechanic for how the players get there. So we had imagined that there are former vent channels that are still open to the surface or the outside of the old volcano, but have long since been covered over with debris or foliage. Okay, so how are they going to find these vent channels? So basically, the village elder, we gotta transition from right here. Right here is where the village elder comes up to them, and he explains there's a problem with the fish supply, and he asks them to solve it for the village. Okay, and he tells them there is a fishing lodge nearby where they are welcome to rest and use as a base of operations for their investigations. So, what if when they're traveling to the fishing lodge, they accidentally come across one of these vents that's kind of like partially covered with debris, and there is evidence around it of somebody having gone down it recently. And this could be one of the ways that the Kuo-toa go exit their lava area when they need to. So that might be an easy implementable mechanic by which they actually get to these lava tunnels, you know. So that could be a thing. I don't know, that's an idea. The first chamber is a well-known diving spot. There are paintings of the aboleth on the walls. I think we have that too. So let's do this. Let's do the fishing, what is it? What do we call it? The fishing lodge. The fishing lodge. And we will say we need to envision, so we're going to have to start drawing a map is what we're going to have to start doing. So in order to draw a map, what we're going to be doing, so what we're going to be doing for the map is we're going to be using Dungeon Fog tonight to draw our map. And it's like an online, you know, map making software. And so we're going to have to start drawing our map. But I'm just going to flesh out the fishing lodge really quick here, and then we'll start drawing our map. But maybe we can start imagining what's going to happen in that first chamber. So like there's going to be like a tunnel they have to go down. And maybe we can describe how they get down this tunnel. Like, what are the mechanics for getting down this tunnel? What does this volcano vent kind of look like and feel like as they go down it? And then we need to start envisioning, like, what's in this first chamber? What does this first chamber kind of look like? When they go down this vent, where do they end up? What's the opening introductory, like, room for this adventure? So while you guys are thinking about that, I will type up this fishing lodge thing. So on the way to the fishing lodge, the heroes come across a large hole, roughly, let's say 10 feet across, that is partially covered with branches and leaves. Investigations show that there are footprints around the hole. They are the footprints of Kuo-toa. These would be, what would a Kuo-toa's footprints look like? Like, what does the monster manual show them? They have like webbed feet? They must have like webbed feet or something. Let's see if we can get, where's that picture? Does it show their feet? Yeah. Yeah, they have webbed feet. Four-toed web feet. Four-toed webbed feet of a medium-sized creature. And then we're going to say the footprints lead from the hole down to the edge of the lake. What do they call that? What do you call it? The shore. The shore. Down to the lake shore. And then there we go. And then we'll say at the lake shore there. Yeah, we'll just say it leads down to the lake shore. That's probably enough. So that is enough. They come across that hole. They find these webbed footprints. They go from the hole to the lake shore. You know, that is probably enough information for players to start thinking, something's coming out of this hole and going to the lake. Maybe we should investigate this hole. That's probably enough information to get them to go down there, in my opinion. And if not, the Dungeon Master would have to improvise some stuff. Webbed feet like ducks. Have the players follow the fish entrail trail. Oh, yes! That's not a bad idea, Gustavo. Let's do this. Let's say on the lakeshore, there are the remains of gutted fish. Gutted fish and fish bones. Boom. So if they go to the lakeshore, they're going to find those remains, and they're going to be like, aha, whatever's coming out of this hole has something to do with the fish. And then they're going to want to go down that hole, hopefully. So what does it look like? What does what look like? That's a good idea. Slippery from moisture. There's an ancient lava rock which breaks free under the player's feet. Okay. What would this be? En route to the fishing lodge. That's not how you spell route. There you go. That's better. And then we could just say, the fishing lodge itself is a simple one-room wooden structure. It's a simple one-room wooden structure. Nothing out of the ordinary. So the players might go there, but there's nothing really interesting about it. What's the most interesting part is into the hole. Once they start going into the hole, this is when we're going to start describing that shaft that they're going down. Okay? So we have given them the adventure. We have put a way for them to find their way down into these caverns. And now we're assuming they're going to go down into the caverns, and they're going to go down this vent hole, this shaft. So this hole, this opening, is an ancient vent from the partially dormant. I mean, the volcano is dormant in that it's not exploding, but there's still magma and stuff down there that's going to create all of these hot, vapors and stuff. So the opening is an ancient vent. We'll just say vent. Is a vent from the dormant volcano that lies beneath the lake. And we could actually go up here. We could actually go up here to our location, and Windy Peak is the name of the volcano. So we can. I'll zoom in a little bit here. Maybe make this a little bit easier for folks to see this. Maybe the mountain upon which the adventure takes place. The mountain is actually a dormant volcano. There we go. Beautiful. So we added that up there. Good. And then we're going back to into the hole. Now, somebody had an idea for crumbling, yes, there are footprints going to the lake and coming back to the lake. So let's put that in there. the footprints lead from the hole down to the lakeshore, and then back to the hole from the lakeshore. So it's so there's two ways. It's two-way footprints. They go down and they come back. Okay. And somebody had an idea for this hole. It was like volcano. They said it was, what did they say? Okay, David Morgan said it was slippery from moisture. Ancient lava rock which breaks free under the player's feet. So, all right, so the hole, into the hole. The vent is at a roughly, what kind of angle is, we need an angle that's treacherous, but not, we don't want it to be easy, but if it's straight up and down, that might be a little bit rough. So the vent is, what kind of, maybe a 45-degree slope? What about a 60-degree slope? A 60-degree slope is at a roughly 60-degree slope with some sections being vertical. It's made from crumbling lava rock that is moist. From crumbling moist lava rock. All right. There needs to be like, I feel like the players are probably going to use a rope to go down this, but there needs to be like a difficulty check for them to like not slip and fall or something, you know? And if they slip and fall, they shouldn't fall to their deaths because that would be really stupid, in my opinion. So I wouldn't want to do that. From crumbling moist lava rock. So using rope should lower the DC or something. How do we want to implement that? How would we implement that mechanic of climbing down using ropes? Because like, it needs to be somewhat challenging or at least makes them worried about it, but you don't want to just kill them or something. So how could we implement that? I need ideas on that. Let me see. A slide. They could dive down into the water. I feel like they're probably going to go down the hole. And this is a part of improvisation too. If your players don't go down the hole and instead start diving down under the water, then you could just invent there being other openings in the water that they would find that would take them into the same area. So you just move it. You improvise and move the opening. And all paths lead to Rome is the saying. Let's see. Ooh, that's interesting. Have some water flowing down it? Yeah, that's not a bad idea. And then they got to make dex rules. Okay, so as the heroes go deeper down it, the moistness becomes actual small flows of water that turn into a decent sized trickle, making the descent hazardous. I need a mechanic for how hazardous. Like, what does that mean? I need ideas for how we can make this interesting to go down, but not like a death trap. Yes, there is going to be water at the base of the shaft. I agree. But what's the mechanic for actually going down it? How about falling doesn't do damage, but the sound it makes echoes? That's the answer. All right, Tots Taylor. See you later, buddy. Thanks for joining us. You stayed up late. If you're in the UK, you stayed up late. Yes, you can catch this later. Go get some sleep, man. Something shaking the ropes from the bottom, but they can't quite see what is shaking them. Huh. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's do this then. Let's say let's just say that descending the shaft with the help of a rope requires a successful DC. Now, levels 1 through 4. Levels 1 through 4. So we need to make this not too hard to pass. Let's call it a DC. Is 12 too hard? A successful DC 12 strength athletics check. How's that? I feel like most players are going to have either a 0 or maybe a +1 or +2 to their athletics at this level. And so there's a 50% chance or a little bit lower that they might slip and fall. But slipping and falling, we're not going to penalize them too much because they're going to fall into water. Okay? Because there's water at the base of this shaft. So slipping and falling is not the end of the day. Okay? Does DC 12 sound okay? How's that sound? 13 might be a little too high. I feel like with 12, somebody's going to fail and somebody's going to fall, and that creates drama and makes it interesting. You know? DC 10 seems too easy. I want one of them to slip and fall. Because it makes it like, oh, crap! And then, psh, they land in water. You know? So I think that we'll go with that. All right. So where was I at? Failing the check causes the PC to fall down the shaft, taking we're gonna say 1d4 bludgeoning damage, taking 1d4 bludgeoning damage and landing in a deep pool of water at the base of the shaft. There. That's not that bad. It's more of creating a dramatic moment. It's creating an oh crap moment. They're going to take 1d4 damage and then they're going to land in water. You know what I mean? Just brush yourself off. It's not going to kill them. You know what I mean? I think that's good. All right, Lathanis, see you later, buddy. He's in Ireland. Yeah, you got to get to sleep, dude. It's late. It's like, what is it? It's about 1 a.m. for you or something? I would be in bed if it were 1 a.m. here. Jeremy says, can someone in the chat fill me in? We are creating a Kuoto adventure. The adventure takes place in volcano tunnels, volcanic vents that are under a lake. There's going to be water in there, and we are talking about the shaft that takes them down into the beginning part of the dungeon that we are designing. So that is where we are at right now. And they just, into the hole is the shaft that they just went down. All right, sweet. So now we have, I think we are kind of at our first chamber. Are we not? I think we're at our first chamber. Yeah, it's 1:06 a.m. in the UK. All right. Could that PC push down other PCs if they fail and are behind the other? Yeah, absolutely. So check this out. I like that idea. That is ruthless. I love it. So there is a, well, so what we're going to say is if a PC falls, there is a, oh, that's interesting. So we'll say there is a 50% chance that each other PC might be what want to say? I want to say 50%. How am I trying to express this? There's a 50% chance that each other PC needs to make another strength athletics check or fall as well. So basically, I'm trying to create a mechanic whereby if somebody fails, there's a chance that other PCs then need to make their check again, assuming they were below it, or just the falling of it, like, you know, shocked them enough that they had to make another check. You know what I mean? And then they got to make another check. If they fail their check again, then they're going to fall as well. There could be a chain reaction of everybody falling. To make, we'll make it less. To make a DC 8 strength athletics check or fall as well. There, so in order to avoid a crazy chain reaction, let's make it like a lower DC. I think that sounds. You think it should be higher for the second check? Really? Well, climbing is athletics. Jeremy, climbing is a strength athletics check. Although I do have a house rule where I let people use acrobatics if they want to. So that would be fine if you were to do that, because I would do the same thing. But by rules, climbing is an athletics check. You think it should be harder? It seems like you guys think it should be harder if they... because they're hitting each other or something. Wow. I don't want to get... So you guys have some really good ideas for the mechanics about, like, you know, how to implement this exactly. I don't want to get too specific about exactly figuring out the order and how this is all going to work. I would much rather create some basic rules here, and then the dungeon master, if he wants to get more specific in how he implements this, you know, they can create their own little thing. You know what I mean? It sounds like you guys want it to be a little bit higher, so I'm just going to make it a DC 10 strength check. There we go. But some people think it should be harder. Yeah, I'm just gonna go. Okay, we're gonna compromise. We're just gonna say another DC 12. We'll just keep it the same. I want it to be easier. You guys want it to be harder. Philip Ketchup, no, we're not doing that. You're ruthless. You're cruel, man. All right, cool. So we got them down into the first chamber. Okay? We got them down into the first chamber. I feel like the first chamber, we need to start talking about what's down in this chamber. And we're going to start drawing our map as well. We already know that there's like a pool of water down there. So we're going to start envisioning that. Give me a second here. I'm going to pull up Dungeon Fog and make sure that we are good to go on Dungeon Fog. I'm going to pull that up. Let me reset that. Make sure we're good to go. Okay, then we're going to do this. So I have Dungeon Fog up. We're going to go in here. We're going to create a map. We're going to start creating a map with Dungeon Fog. And then if you guys aren't familiar with Dungeon Fog, there should be a link down in the description, but I'm gonna link to it in the chat as well. If you guys are interested in Dungeon Fog, you can try it for free. First of all, 100% free, but you don't get access to all the features. But if you get to the point and you like it and you actually want to purchase it, it's $50 for 1 year, which I think is a really good price for everything that it can do. But you can also get, I think I have a if you use the code the DM Lair when you purchase it, you can get, I think it's 15% off. It's either 10% or 15% off. I forget what it was. But if you actually want to buy it, you can get a discounted rate if you use my code thingy, Bobber, you know. So anyway, if you care about that. If you don't worry about it. But anyway, I need to do something right now. I drank too much coffee again. So I need to go to the bathroom. So I'm going to throw an intermission up. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. And then we're going to start creating our map here. All right? So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to give you some music, because music is good. And then I'll be back in a couple minutes, guys. All right, come back to the screen and pause the music. All right, sweetness. Let me get this map going for us. And it is getting, so I am anticipating my daughter needing to be picked up from a football game she's at. So at any point now, my daughter is going to call me and say, Dad, come pick me up. And when my daughter calls me, I got to end the stream. Just letting you all know. But let's start creating this map, shall we? Where's that? Oh, that's nice. All right, let's go over here. Oh, hey, you guys can't see the screen. I should probably go to the right screen. All right. So we're going to, now, disclaimer. I don't use this software a whole lot, okay? So, if I'm riding a struggle bus for a little bit and I'm having difficulty doing stuff, that's my disclaimer. I don't use this every day. All right, so there might be some like fiddling around and trying to figure out how to do stuff with this. So just letting you know. But we're going to create a new map. We're going to call it Fishy Business. And I don't need a description. I think the map size, now we need to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to make it like, let's do a 30 by 30. Each part of the grid is 5 feet. So I'm cool with that. And we'll open our editor. Loading. All right, sweet. I use this program to make the maps for my Patreon campaign that I run with my patrons. So it's pretty cool. I like it a lot. And we don't want the green. This is the wrong background for an underwater lava campaign. So I feel like we should change our floor to something else. And there are a bunch of, so we have ground, metal, nature, stone, some sort of stone. Old rocks. What if we do that? There we go. That looks a little bit better, but it's really dark. Rocks and grass, small gravel. I'm just picking a bunch of stuff. We're going to find the back. Oh, this might be it. Rocks and small stones. That's interesting. Dirt with rocks in it. I think that's probably okay. Oh, volcanic. There's a volcanic background. Hold on. Oh, look at this. Look at all these. Oh, this is cool. This isn't bad, but we have a volcanic background. Look at this. Ooh. Or a lava one. Here's a lava background. That looks cool. Molten rock. There's so many options here. We're going to have to pick one. Here's a mixed surface. I think I'm going to go with one of these. This one looks okay. Let's go with this guy right here. Anonymous person, there could be a domino effect of people crashing into each other. That is totally possible. Absolutely. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to go roughly into the middle of this map. And we're going to create our first room that we're going to come into. And so there is a floor builder right here. And we need to pick the type of floor. What does our floor look like? I think we're going to pick not the lava one. There is a rock floor. Let's pick a type of rock floor. Petrified lava. That looks interesting. Let's use that. And then we're going to pick a wall type. I think the wall type that we're going to pick is going to be, it's got to be stone. It's going to be stone. Let's go with colored gravel. What does that look like? Okay, that's not bad. Let's just do that. Let's make a room here. Let's just draw out a room. So the wall type is a cave. So I should be able to just click here. I'm going to create a node there. And I'm just going to create some nodes. Now you see how it's doing this? It's doing this like snap thing. So it creates this nice room here for us. You know what I mean? But it has all those nodes. I need to turn off the snapping thing. Disable snap to grid is the shift key. All right, so this is what we're going to do. Let's undo that room, and I'm going to hold down the shift key while I create some sort of room here. There we go. That looks a little more natural. And now we're going to put a pool of water here. So, because remember they fell down that shaft into like a pool of water. So let's create a pool of water where they fell down that shaft. So now what I'm going to do is there is like a paint room, or there's a brush. Where's the brush? Here's the brush. So there's a brush tool right here. And I can pick a texture. And the texture that I'm going to pick is there's a water. Yeah, here's the water. And we're just going to pick one of these water textures. And we're going to come over here. Well, that's not doing it. Hold on a second. Why is that not working? You see, this is what I'm talking about. Oh, I gotta add some thickness to it. There we go. I have to add some thickness. There we go. That's better. See? Haha! Let's make that thicker. Let's make that a little bit bigger. There we go. So this is like, yeah, this is going to be the pool of water that they fall into. Now, the whole chamber isn't full of water, right? It's just part of the chamber. Okay? So there you go. Now we have part of the chamber that they fall into, and then there's a 10-foot area of it that's the actual shaft, right? So let's draw the shaft. I think there's a way for me to draw the shaft here. It's probably, is it this guy? What's this guy do? Whoops. Draw shape. There we go. Let's draw the shape, and let's make the color black. And there's got to be a way for me to draw a circle. I don't know how. Let's just see what happens here. So I think if I hold down the shift key or the control key or something. That's drawing a shape. I don't know. There's a shaft here. I'm not sure how to draw shapes. There's got to be a way for me to draw like a shape here. I know I've done it before. I just don't know. I don't know how to do it off the top of my head here. So anyway, they fall down into this water area right here. Okay. This is the advantage of just drawing this stuff on a grid paper. We don't have to, the tool doesn't get in our way. All right. So what is in this first chamber? If they fall down the shaft into this first chamber, there's this water here, but what else is in this chamber? We need something else in this chamber. You guys are all talking about people hitting each other and falling down. What's in this first chamber? What are they going to find in this first chamber? Zombie fish monsters. Not bad. Lots and lots of fish guts. Okay. What else is going to be in this chamber? So the players are going to fall down into this water. We need to have something in this chamber. Now we're going to build some tunnels and stuff that go off from it, you know. But we would want something in this chamber. Hopefully their torches didn't get wet. Yeah. That would be cool. Kuotoa bioluminescence. What if this entire chamber had a sort of like mold, or like, not mold, but a growth over all the walls that kind of glowed with like some sort of greenish glow or something? What would be growing on the walls that would cause it to glow like that? I wish there were a way. So I think you can, this room right here, I think there's a way to like name the rooms, but I'm not sure. I wish there were just a text tool where I could just write text on the map. I swear there was a way to do this. Here we go. So this is going to be, we're going to call it K1. I think I found it. K1. This is going to be the pool room. K1, pool room. I don't know. See, but there we go. Now I have this little, like, symbol thingy. This guy right here will tell me what this room is. We're just going to call this K1. Awesome. Algae. That's what it is. So let's go over here. Let's put K1 into our Word document. K1. We'll just call it fish pool. I don't know. What else could we call this chamber? I don't know. Some leeches. Ooh, leeches. So there could be leeches in there. There could be zombie fish. We had the idea of zombie fish, dead bodies of former fallen adventurers. So I think let's do. Yeah, that's great. An elder black dragon. No, Gustavo. No. It's not an elder black dragon. So let's do this. Let's do some read aloud text. Let's create some read aloud text right here. So this chamber, we'll say the walls of this chamber, we'll say the walls and ceiling of this chamber are covered by an odd algae that glows, an odd turquoise glowing algae. I spelled turquoise wrong. I have no idea how to spell turquoise. There we go. That'll help. An odd turquoise growing algae that sheds a dim glow across the entire area. Across the chamber. We'll just say across the chamber. There we go. That's good enough. Excellent. So there's some basic read aloud text that'll kind of set the tone for this. Okay, so we got the walls and ceiling are covered by that. Anything else that would be odd about this chamber? What else might people notice that's in this chamber? Let's add one more feature to it that is interesting. Just one more feature. Glowing paint made from algae depicting the aboleth. Ooh, that's not a bad idea. The pool doesn't... Okay, what else could be in there? Joey, that's a crazy idea. There's a blind Kuatoa that was enjoying a stroll when suddenly a random person drops from the shaft. Since he's blind, he starts talking in fish speech to ask who the party members are. That's interesting. Fishing supplies. Yes, there could be a bunch of fishing supplies in the room. That makes sense. Because if they leave this chamber to go to the surface to fish, which is what they were doing at the shore up top, then there would be like fishing supplies here. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea to me. So what wall, let's see, where would that be? So we would say the east wall. Let's say along the east wall. Piled up along the east wall. The east wall are various fishing poles and other tackle. How's that? That adds a little bit of the ambiance to it. It also tells the players that they're on the right track. Aha! We have found fishing supplies. This must have to do with the people who are doing the fishing. I like it. They're not going to find a map of the dungeon. So I like the idea of there being scripture on the wall as well. Let's add that somewhere else. We don't want to throw too much information all in one room. We want to like a couple little interesting details, and then we save some of that other interesting stuff for different parts of the dungeon. We don't want to like drop it all in the same place. Hey Matthew Perkins, what up, dude? Welcome to the stream, man. Good to see you. Yeah. Okay, so What is the encounter in this room? We had some ideas for like zombie fish. There were some other things. There was zombie fish and then leeches. There were leeches. You know what? I like the idea of leeches. So if there are leeches in the water, what monster stat block could we use for leeches? Like, we need to find maybe like a quipper or something. We need to find a monster that we can just reskin and repurpose for leeches. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be DMing soon, so I'm checking here. Is this guy good? Bro, I have no idea. My players could tell you if I'm any good or not. That's all I can say. Sturges. Oh, it swims instead of flying. Oh, we could use sturges. We could use rats. Yeah, we could repurpose a lot of those. I'm out of coffee. This does not bode well. Rock grubs are crazy. Rock grubs are like deadly, dude. Especially for like level 1 through 4. Man, that's awesome. All right, we're gonna put leeches in here. So we'll say occupants. The pool of water is full of leeches. Only upon exiting, we're going to say only upon exiting the pool. We said giant leeches, right? Oh, we'll say giant leeches. Giant leeches. Anyone who drops into the pool is attacked by... Oh, that's passive voice. We'll say full of giant leeches that attack anyone who enters the pool a few moments afterwards. Yeah, something like that. That's good enough. That's a good enough description right there. Now we said we said rats. We said I saw something about like a swarm of rats, sturges. Let's pull up some of those stat blocks and see what those look like. Because we gotta pick something for our party size and stuff. So let's take a look at that. Miscellaneous creatures. We have, so what did we say? Rats. All right, let's find rats. That's an R. How about I do this? Rat. That did not help me. That did not help me go to rat. Look at that. The search capabilities are not impressing me tonight. I'm just gonna have to scroll and find rat. So a rat is a challenge level 0. That's really easy. We'd have to use like a swarm of rats, I think. Where's our swarm of rats? That's not bad. So we could use, I'm going to make that a little bit bigger for you. We could use the swarm of rats right here, and that's a 1/4. Yeah. Yeah. Let's do that. We'll use swarm of rats. So that's a challenge rating 1/4, 50 experience points. So let's go back to our encounter calculator. Now, if there are 4 characters, they're level 1, and we're going to use how many experience points were those things? 50. So if there's 1 swarm of rats, that's trivial. If there's 2 swarms of rats, it's easy. However, you guys, the thing is, I don't know why the leeches don't attack the Kuo-toa. Brainstorm for me. Why would the leeches not attack the Kuo-toa? Is there a reason? Maybe they don't like the slimy flesh or something. Maybe the Kuo-toa have developed a resistance to leeches because they live underwater or something. But that's a good point. Why wouldn't they attack them? So in our scenario, though, we're almost assuredly going to have 1 player who fails his athletics check and falls down into this pool. So if we have enough swarms of rats or leeches to challenge the entire party, that means the 1 person unfortunate enough to fall in there is probably going to die to them. So we want to assume that we're actually just going against maybe one or two of the players. So I would actually probably scale that for one person. In the case of which two of those is deadly, one of them is hard. So I think that we should just put one swarm of rats or one swarm of leeches down here. Otherwise, we're going to get into a situation where we kill our players. So giant leeches that attack anyone who enters the pool. Okay. Use the swarm of rats stat block for the leeches. We'll just say use one swarm of rats to represent the leeches. There we go. Excellent. There we go. There's like a little beginner encounter in that first room for the player who's unfortunate enough to fall down there. I like it. Sounds great. Yeah, the leeches are the rats. There are leeches in this pool. We're using a swarm of rats to represent the stat block for the leeches, is what we're doing. So use the stat block for one swarm of rats to represent the leeches. There we go. We're just reskinning the swarm of rats for our leeches. That way we don't have to like custom make a monster, which is a pain in the butt. Nobody wants to do that. Well, I don't want to do that. All right, let's see what other ideas we have here. So I think that's our first room. I think we have the first room developed. Where's my map? I need to go to my map. All right, so we have our first room developed right here. Now, there needs to obviously be an exit from the room because there's got to be somewhere else that they go. So, do we just have one exit here? Do we have a couple exits? Do we give them a choice of which way to go? Having more than one option makes the dungeon less linear, obviously. And options are good. So what do you guys think? We just give them one exit? I mean, at the very least, we need one exit, right? So there's going to be one exit that they leave out of here for sure. So I can kind of draw that out. Give them 8 paths? No. One path could lead to a storage area. 2 paths that join lead to 2 rooms that then join for the 3rd room. That's not a bad idea. We could do something like that, Ender Warlock. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Let's draw something out like that. There is no right answer here. There is only the answer that we come up with. All right, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. We need to add onto our map. We need some more space here. And so I'm going to add to the right about 10 more. And then I'm going to add to the top about 10 more. That'll give us some more. You know what? I want 5 more on the right. So there we go. We'll add a little bit more to the right. And then now we're going to go into drawing rooms again. So I'm envisioning maybe a little corridor that kind of comes off this way here, maybe. And let's see. Some sort of corridor. It comes off that way. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm having trouble completing it. Ah! Can't complete my room. It won't finish. Ah! And I lost it. All right, let's try this again. Maybe what I should do is click that there. And then I'll go off and do something crazy like that. And there. Go back to there. Let's go to there and there. There we go. There we go. I got it. I was worried there for a second. Now what I need to do though for this corridor is I'm going to select that wall right there, and I'm going to make that hidden. So then we can actually, now it actually connects like that, right? Let's zoom back out again. And let's draw we wanted to have another tunnel, so let's have a tunnel over here. So let's do the same thing. We'll have a tunnel that goes right there. And it'll come over to here somewhat, something like that. And we'll have it come back over here. Like that. And then I need to select this wall right there. We're going to make that hidden. So we'll kind of open it up. And then we're going to have a chamber here. And then a chamber here. All right, Andrew. See you later, buddy. You got to get ready for your game. Your party wiped themselves last night. So now they're in purgatory waiting to redeem themselves and be reborn. Wow, that's awesome. Oh, man. If they were digging toward the aboleth, they would need to start mining supply. They would need mining supplies. Are they digging toward the aboleth? They might be. They might not be. One path leads to the kitchen or dining room. The other leads to a prayer room. The path to the prayer room has script on the wall. Oh, that's interesting. A slipping slide. Yeah, that could be fun, man. Cool. All right, let's create the rooms. So let's make a chamber over here. So let's put a chamber right here. And so right there. I'm just creating a sort of irregularly shaped chamber like thus. And then I'm going to select that. I'm going to select that wall. We're going to hide it. We're actually going to have to select that wall too and hide it. There we go. And now it opens up into this area. And then let's create a room over here as well. We want a chamber at the top of this one. So let's pick a couple points. Something like that. This chamber could be something like that, I feel. And then let's hide that. Whoops. I think I need to hide this one as well. Whoa. That guy right there. We'll hide that. There we go. Now we got a couple chambers here. Okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. Now, what did we want to have in these rooms? Now, I heard prayer room. I like the idea of there being maybe a little prayer room or a shrine room. Is it too early for that? Do we want that to be like deeper in the dungeon, or is this like an okay place to have that? I don't know. What do you guys think? Storage room. Is there a guard room? Like, are the Kuo-toa worried about people finding them? Would they have like a guard room or something like that? You know, maybe that's the next one. Maybe these two chambers join together into a third, and that's like a guard chamber. I almost feel like the shrine room would be deeper in the compound. I don't think they would put a shrine room like this close to the entrance into their like little lair area. You know what I mean? I think it would be a different place. You don't think they're that worried? They're Kuo-toa? Ancient writing or text foreshadowing a warning of a great danger along the walls. Hey, that's not a bad idea. We could put something like that. Let's put that idea right here into this room or this corridor right here. Well, I'm going to start fleshing that idea out. But what's in this room right here? This room right here. What do you guys should be here? Trenton Chick, hello. Hello. What should be in this room? What do we want to have in this room? What is the purpose of this room, and what are we going to find in the room? That is my question to you. Now, we had a whole bunch of ideas down here as well. You know, we have a lot of ideas we brainstormed. So we want to try to get... Oh! We had this idea of a sickly sweet smell of vanilla and rotten meat as well. A crystal cave? Crystal cave. We wanted to have statues, religious texts and stuff. Volcanic glass windows with like the aboleth and the Koatoa depicted on it. Yeah, so we had some ideas there. We already did leeches the size of cats. So that encounter idea has been done. All right, but let's figure out what's going to go in that room. And while you're doing that, this hallway right here, let me go back to that. This hallway right here is going to be K2. It's just a corridor. I don't know. Let's take this and put it like right there. So that'll label K2 for us. I should probably save this. I don't know why I haven't saved this. I'm like drawing this whole map out and I'm not saving it. That's not good. Save your work from time to time, ladies and gentlemen. A prison chamber. Interesting. Flesh that out. What if this is a prison chamber? What does it look like? Who's in here and what's going on in here? Yeah. Let's flesh that out. And I'm going to write a description for K2. What was K2 going to have? Oh, an ancient text or foreshadowing the warning of a great danger along the walls. Okay. So K2 is K2. Ominous tunnel. Ominous tunnel. This could be an opportunity to put some of that glass or something here. Oh, you know what we could do? This tunnel, this ominous tunnel could have water in it. You know, this could be like ankle deep water or something in this tunnel. So let's flesh that out a little bit. Where is my heading 1? Ominous tunnel. Ooh. Let's get our read aloud text going on right here. And then we're going to say this tunnel, we'll say ankle deep water stands in this tunnel. And strange script covers the walls. Nice. So we got a couple things to flesh out here. The first thing, though, I'm going to go over to the map, and let's paint in that water, that ankle-deep water here. So we'll get this tool. It looks like we already have the right stuff set up, so we're just going to start painting in that ankle-deep water a little bit. So this is just a portion of the dungeon that kind of dips down a little bit, you know? So we will say, this tunnel dips down a little lower than the previous chamber, causing ankle-deep water to stand in it. And then we'll say, strange script covers the walls. So the first thing I want to do is let's do the strange script. What language do Kuatoa speak? No. Gustavo, no. That's not what a strange script is going to be. Monster Manual. What language do Kuatoa speak? It looks like they speak Undercommon. Okay. So strange screep. Written in undercommon is a repetitious warning of what was the name of their aboleth deity? Because we could almost put something in here. The name of their core child, the binder. There we go. Oops. The ominous tunnel. Written in undercommon is a repetitious, I gotta spell that correctly, warning that Zorchild the Binder, that all trespassers shall suffer the wrath of Zorchild the Binder. I don't know, something like that. What you tell me? What should this script say that sounds better than that? What's better than that? that seems like it falls flat to me. I'm sure we can come up with something better that the walls say. Aquin. Coatoan. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the monster manual says that they speak undercommon, so I figure that they're gonna probably write it in undercommon. Zorchild is behind you. Zorchild welcomes all. That's a lot better. Yes, Zorchild welcomes all. To oppose our father is to oppose your life. Ooh, those are so much better. So much better than what I have. Zorchild welcomes all. Is repetitious writing. Zorchild welcomes all. What else do we have? To oppose our father is to oppose your death. Is to oppose your life. Is to oppose your life. Ooh. We're getting a lot of them now. Is the following. And we're just gonna make a bulleted list here of all of these things, since we're getting lots of ideas now. To oppose our father is to oppose your life. What was the other one we had? For Zorchild is all and shall become the all, and Zorchild shall rise to bring the earth below his sway. Oh, that is good. I like that. I'm just gonna copy paste that. Nice. All trespassers shall be drowned, for Zorchild shall be crowned. That's cool. I like it. Oh. Yeah, Zorchild. Wait, is it Zorchild? What's his actual name? Hold on a second. Now we gotta go back. Am I saying it wrong? Oh, it is. There's no L. There's no L. I've been mispronouncing it wrong. What a surprise. Zorchid. It's Zorchid. Yes, I have been putting an L in for reasons. The reason being that I don't know how to talk English. So it's Zorchid. All right, cool. Zorchid. All right, what else do we have? All trespassers shall be for Zorchid shall be crowned. That was a good one. I like that. Oops. That's the wrong place. For Zorchid shall be crowned. Nice. Wow. Yo, child is behind you. Can I have a recap? Jolly Cotton, you've been here for a while, haven't you? I know I've seen you like way earlier in the stream. What'd you do? Take off for a little bit and come back? We are all sinful. Only Zorchid. Zorochid can save us. Everybody's getting this name wrong. Only Zorchid can save us. For we are all sinful. For we are all sinful. And only Zorchid can save us. All right. That's cool. I think we're done brainstorming. Matthew says, I like the idea that the Kuatoa don't know its name. they're like messing its name up. That's funny. Zorchid's poop is a blessing. Wow. It's a holy item, you know? That's awesome. I wonder what. So my daughter is. Oh wait, hold on a second. My wife just sent me. Hold on. Okay, give me 2 seconds. I gotta talk to my wife. Be right back. All right, so live stream is over. I got to pick my daughter up. We're gonna finish this up a week or two from now, and I'll be back. So I gotta leave. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. I'm out of here. It won't stop streaming. I can't get it to stop streaming.